Hello and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined by Matt. Shad will not be with us this week. He had some personal business to attend to, so it'll be Matt and I flying solo. We do have I did ask Shad to write down some thoughts for the matches this week. So we're going to be watching
Mm.
um some indie matches from the late aughts into the early tens.
If Shad's not here, we can go into our classic non-Shad wild tangents, and
I
he won't be
mean,
here to rein us in. So,
we did. I mean, before we could go into the brief tangent of you posted something that was it Katie Sackhoff said about working that how she's coming back as
oh
Bo
yeah, okay,
Katan because it's Dave Filoni's, she's based on Dave Filoni's wife or something. I'm just like, dear God.
I it's what is she going to be Bo-Katan in again? Are they doing like another
Probably the
season of
Mando movie.
Mandalorian?
Well, no, the movie's coming out.
The movie's coming out. I know that. There's apparently
They'll
there's a
cram her into something else like he does with Ahsoka because she's also his waifu because he has to play with, like I said it in our chat, but I think it's true. Like Kathleen Kennedy rightfully takes a lot of shit for driving that franchise into the ground, but Dave Filoni is a terrible writer, and the fact that they keep promoting him up the ladder is just speaks volumes for how bad it is over there.
because he fills the one box, the one box that they want, and that just give us content, bring us content. That's all they crave. It doesn't have to be good content. It doesn't matter. They need to fill spots. They need to do shows that they can then merchandise and sell toys and
And you're
sell
just supposed to
T-shirts and everything like
consume.
that. Yes, yes. Don't ask questions. Just get excited for, and just buy products, consume products, and then get excited for next products.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess there's a second trailer for Mandu
I don't.
and the Mando movie, and I haven't even seen it. I'm like,
I don't.
care. And I saw
Yeah.
like I saw
Like
on social media. I saw like in the last day or two. I saw a lot of postings because I think literally in like maybe 2 months that there's a Darth Maul live action series that's coming on Disney Plus, and it's like I didn't know about this. I don't know that I care. Like it's
a character that
I
said
don't care.
a character that said two words in his singular movie appearance. Like he was cool, but like all their shit though, I don't like. Well, I will say the prequels. I know it's like cool to say they were good, but they're not good. They're not as bad as the sequel trilogy. I think that's why they get some leeway now because they're not. They're like very flawed movies, but
I
they're entertaining. But they're not like total train wrecks. But the thing is,
I'd have to watch them again because the
the
first one I
first,
thought was kind of boring, except for
yeah,
like the end when it's a battle, and then the second one was kind of boring too, except the end when it was a battle. I actually like the third one. I don't think it's like great, but it's I think perfectly fine, and there's like a lot of destruction and it's kind of like not it's I like it. It's it's fine to me. The prequel ones I haven't even seen the third sequel one. Sorry, I haven't even seen
it's
that one.
bad. Like
The
I
third
know,
one, Rise of
la-
the Skywalker. I haven't even seen it.
last
I've read the plot. I know everything about it. I'm just like I don't want to see this. And it's been out on Disney Plus how many years at this point? Three,
since it
four,
started,
five. I could have seen this film like many times over
it's
the
worse
course of the
than
last like
it's
3 to 5 years.
it's worse than Last Jedi. I'm like,
Last Jedi was terrible. People this day like stand for Ryan Johnson. Like he made the best Star Wars film and people hated him for it. It's like no, he made probably the worst Star Wars film.
yeah,
Like I'm sorry, like I could literally sit and we could talk for an hour about how much I hate that film. And it's not even like it's not nothing other than like the characterizations are wrong. There's huge plot holes and some things just do not work in the Star Wars universe. And I will say like Star Wars universe has gotten kind of ridiculous even of itself. But at the very beginning, uh, what is it, Poe Dameron? Like the rebels are like talking to General Hux. Was that, is that his name, right?
Yeah.
And they do a call waiting joke. Like
I
they're
know.
pranking
I
him,
know.
like they're calling, and it's like when that happened, I literally like I watched it in theaters. I sat back, and this is like the first like 20 minutes. I feel I sat back in my chair. I'm like, oh boy, it's not really going to get much better than this, is it?
No.
And it didn't really get better than that. It just got more and more ridiculous and things that angered me. So
I
I
know.
I could I don't know. It just Star Wars again. I
I
love
don't
Star Wars
care
growing
anymore.
up when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
me too.
That's the thing. When I was a kid, I watched Star Wars, like the original trilogy. I had it on VHS, and when I was a little kid, on the weekends, on the weekends exactly, because I mean you're not in school, you have like all this time,
Yeah.
and I wasn't a latchkey kid, but my parents were like doing stuff, parent
I
stuff, I
was kind of
guess,
a latchkey kid.
around the house. They were doing parent stuff around the house on the weekend, so I had to entertain myself. If I wasn't playing outside, I'd be inside. And so I'd watch like mostly the same movies over and over again if I was gonna watch a movie. I watched like Back to the Future, Ghostbusters.
Mhm.
I watched like the original Star Wars trilogy, and I would watch them over and over again. I saw the original movies when I was a kid. Probably like little to like age 12 or something. I probably saw them like
I
50 times
I
each.
I was a latchkey kid. I just went to my grandparents usually after school. But so I was usually around on the weekends, but like so if I went to my grandparents, I would have to have the proper VHS tapes. And the grandparents kind of had some, the parents kind of had some, and you had to go back and forth, but usually when I was younger, it was usually Disney afternoon at the grandparents. They didn't have cable. So it
Oh yeah.
was it was network stuff. So I usually watched Disney afternoon stuff, and then I think I watched Highway to Heaven with my grandfather.
Oh yeah. I saw a lot of like
I'm really dating
network stuff back in the
myself.
day.
Yeah, I'm really dating myself with that.
Back in the day, oh yeah, we're dating ourselves as childs of the '80s, but like back in the day, network stuff actually had like good stuff. I remember like I saw tons. Remember like on Sunday nights or one night they would always have like one of the major networks would have like a movie, like a big time movie.
Oh,
I
and
remember like one time,
ABC, no, NBC usually had the Saturday movie because usually I remember like, cause my parents had cable, so stuff would kinda hit there, but usually what would happen back in the days, it would hit HBO fairly quickish, like, within a
mm,
year. Not like today, but like, in a year, and then you might see it pop up on network TV at, like, 2 years after it was in theaters.
there was usually like, yeah, you would see it was if a movie got big, especially you'd know about it. It'd be like part of like pop culture, like society, like social consciousness, but you may or may not see it on, especially if you didn't have cable. Like, and we had cable, but not till like later. Not in the '90s. We had it probably by like late '80s. I didn't have cable in my room until I was like, it was in the '90s for sure. But
I don't think I ever had.
I
I
I
don't think I
mostly
ever did.
I had a TV in my room when I was a kid, but it was like just regular TV. It wasn't cable TV. It was just network TV. And I remember like I distinctly watching when I was a kid, like watched like Superman 2 on
Yeah.
like what on network TV, like one of these, and it had been out like a couple years, but I remember watching it. I was like, "Whoa, this is awesome!"
Well,
They would have that, but you'd have
I
to
didn't
wait a couple
realize.
years. Could be like you knew it
Yeah.
existed, but you didn't see it until.
I didn't realize when I was a kid. So I lived in Columbus. I grew up in Columbus. So what I didn't realize is Columbus was an oddity of a city in that I don't remember why, but they invested in cable like really early. So I didn't realize like other people like elsewhere like, oh, I didn't have cable till like the late 80s. I'm like, really? Like, because Columbus had cable like as soon as cable was a thing. Like my parents talked about how in the 70s you had to like turn a key and they charge you by the minute of what you watched.
Oh
Because
my
there's
god!
because there's an interest because Columbus has a really interesting um role in Death of the Territory. So they because Georgia was like big at the time because they were on TBS, so they were on cable really early. And Bill Watts, because Bill Watts always has good ideas, so they wanted to know who was watching. They wanted to know like what cities they were big in, because this is like the late '70s and like 1980, so they don't know shit pretty much.
Mm.
So they ran an angle that required people to mail in for something. So they wanted to see where they came from. So because Columbus was like the first major city wired, they got a crap load of letters from Columbus, and so that became the first city outside of Georgia that they ran a Georgia Championship wrestling show. So that's just an interesting part of Columbus's history, and the like I would say the start of the death of the territories. Yeah, I just don't care anymore. Like I even like the Black Series toys, I don't care, because I was thinking about it for a while
Uh,
just for the old ones. I'm like, oh look, another stormtrooper. Oh look, another stormtrooper. Oh look, another stormtrooper.
I don't care either, and that's the reason why I said, like, I talked about I watched the original trilogy like dozens of times when I was a kid, and in the '90s when they started putting out '90s and the early aughts when they started putting out or they to put out all those expanded or expanded universe, whatever it was called, books where they really fleshed out, especially like basically the sequels and sometimes prequels too, like the original Star Wars trilogy. Like I read like so many of them. I think I still have like a bunch. Uh, at least probably a couple dozen. I think I have some of those old copies of those old books. I read them and I thought they were. I really was entertained by them. So I was excited when they did the prequel trilogy. I was really excited. I watched it, and it's like diminishing returns, but it's like, oh, okay, like fine. But honestly, I remember being like optimistic when they announced the sequel trilogy, and then it came out,
Yeah,
and that first film, like, I didn't hate it.
it's just a New
I
Hope
had
remake.
some sort. It's a remake basically of the original one, and it's like it was so nostalgia pilled that as soon as I watched it, I was like, I kind of like got a little bit of enjoyment out of it 'cause it's like, it's nostalgia, but it's also like, all right, this okay, but I seen this. Like I seen this now. Like what are you gonna
Yeah,
do next? And it was downhill from there,
I always
honestly.
thought I always thought they were I always thought they were going to screw it up eventually, because if people don't remember when it first came out, they were like, we're going to do a movie every year. And as soon as they said
Yeah.
that, I was like, okay, they're going to run this into the ground, because I said it at the time and it's still true. I think what made Star Wars so popular was like it was rare. Like you only got a movie every
Mhm.
once in a while. Um, and so like it was special. And so I thought they were going to run it into the ground, but where I went wrong was I was like, oh, they're going to run this into the ground in like 8 to 10 years, and it's going to damage the brand. And where I went wrong was they fucked it up by year three.
Yeah. I think they probably I think you're right. Like they if you're flooding the zone with content, like people gonna get over it because it's just too much.
And it's
And
and they're not creative enough with it. 'Cause, like, so where I think
that
where they made
yes.
the mistake was is Marvel was doing it successfully, but what people don't understand, and they get real mad when you bring this up. I don't know why it's so controversial to say, but like the reason Marvel was working was Marvel movies are not the same genre. They're in the superhero genre, but you could like a lot of
Mhm.
them are subgenres. So like Guardians of the Galaxy is a sci-fi movie, even though it's superheroes. Like Captain America Winter Soldier was like an 80s style thriller.
Mhm.
So that's why it worked. But Star Wars, you can do that, but as we've seen, they refuse to do anything even like remotely original.
That's what I was gonna say that they when you flood the zone, you're gonna run into problems at some point. It's unavoidable. But I felt that if they were creative enough and they weren't, because then it became quite obvious that at some point that they cared again more about just cranking out content versus cranking out really good content, creative content.
Yeah.
But if they had been creative and made things different, then I think they could have sustained it a bit longer because at least everything is different. And I'm not trying to be unfair because I understand some things are different. Like Andor, apparently I've it's got two seasons that it's done. But from what I understand, uh, everyone that I've heard talk about it, even people who are soured on Star Wars like us, have watched it, and who have
It's
watched
because
it have said
it's not very
it's
Star
actually really
Warsy, I
good.
think.
But that's the thing, like that you can have it in the Star Wars universe, but it's like almost like a espionage type
Yeah.
thriller, like political thriller. And so it's different. I think it apparently is well written, well acted. So
Yeah.
there's that too. But it was also different enough. And that is also a major gripe. I mean, look, there's a concept that, if it sells tickets, shove that down people's throats. And we do it with wrestling too. It's like, oh, this is a hot act. Like, let's give you more and more and more of it. But eventually, like with the Bloodline of the NWO, whatever, it just becomes diminishing
Yeah, but
returns. It's
they're even
boring. Like you,
past like NWO
well, I know,
2000 at
but
this point.
yeah, but I feel like if you don't change it up, you don't creatively do it, it's gonna sour. But I understand it's like, well, this is hot, this is what sells, so let's push it. But to me, I liked season 1 of Mandalorian and about the first couple episodes of season 2. Because season 1, it was like Jon Favreau just ripped off the Lone Wolf and Cub manga series. You're basically shamelessly ripping it off in the Star Wars universe. But I was okay with that. I'm like, you know what? This is different and interesting. It works. And then season 2 hits, and you use that as a backdoor pilot. You have a backdoor pilot for Ahsoka. And then what happens at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian? Oh, it's Luke Skywalker. And it's like everyone, I have friends, like friend of the show, Damien, who saw that before I did. Like I watched it like maybe weeks after the fact, and I watched it because I heard chatter online. It's like, oh my god, the finale of Mandalorian season 2, and I watched it, and as soon as I saw it was Skywalker, and it's just like Jedi again, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like because to me, like I preface it, Jedi sell, lightsaber, whatever. Okay, but I'm so tired of Jedi. And I
Me
get
too.
that somewhere along the way, maybe because George Lucas made the Skywalkers the focus of the
Yeah, but
trilogy, but it's like he had this huge universe.
that was specifically like the point of like the what his story was. And I think what my problem with the Jedi is they're in everything. And like they've been so watered down.
Exactly.
Whereas like um
Everything's Jedi. Everything. Everything. There has to be a Jedi in everything. And it's like I'm tired of that. And that's what I liked about Mandalorian season 1. It's like wasn't really Jedi. And,
it's kind of
and
like
then as soon as it was season 2, it's like Jedi. And then it actually went off a cliff because it's like the writing isn't even good anymore.
it's kind of like this is going to be a weird comparison. It's kind of like when you read the 40K novels. A really well written 40K novel, especially if you're reading something from like the Imperium, um, Xeno Scum, obviously, but like a single Space Marine in like an Imperium novel is a big fucking deal because they're I don't remember how tall they're. They're like 12 feet tall and they're like massive genetic science projects. So like if you're reading like an Eisenhorn book, which is like a detective kind of series, and he's like pretty much he's an inquisitor, but not like a heavy duty combatant. Like so a single like chaos marine is a big like is a massive huge deal because one of them does a lot of damage. So like a Jedi should be like the same thing, which they've lost over time because now the jet like in Acolyte they kill them way too easy. But it should be like if you see like a Jedi, it should be like, oh shit, we're screwed because they're gonna take out like everything.
Yeah. I know. I am like you that I don't care anymore. And I brought all that stuff about my childhood to emphasize it's like I was a super fan, and they just beat it out of me basically. I'm like, I don't care.
Like
And
Phantom
that's not how I was as a kid. If you told me even like 20 years ago, you
Yeah.
told me, oh my God, there's going to be all this like live action Star Wars content, I would have been like, what? That's so awesome. What? I can't wait. And it's like now, and like, again, they just announced that within like weeks, you're going to get a Darth Maul series. I'm like, all right, like
Like a good example of
maybe
like
I'll watch that like a few years from now.
a good example of like what the Jedi were in like the Phantom Menace. Like to take care of that whole
Mm,
thing, they sent a Jedi with his student because that was enough.
yeah. Mm.
But also before we go in, because it was a good weekend, Team USA winning the gold, which is pretty awesome.
Mm.
There's like such epic pictures of him just like with his teeth knocked out.
I didn't see, except I saw people like after the fact, like making fun of. I saw people, I saw people posting like a picture, and it was the United States was just like they had like just an eagle for the United States, and they showed Canada, and Canada
Oh,
they
the
superimposed the
Eagles.
crying Jordan meme,
Oh,
the guy the crying Jordan meme
I thought
in
the
front of Canada.
I thought the one no with him and the maple leaf. I thought you were gonna talk about the one like people have been posting like with the eagle standing on top of the goose.
Oh, the goose, the Canadian
Yeah.
goose, yeah.
The one I sent you guys, I laughed so hard. It's the Canadian flag in the cuck chair in a hotel room, and then the picture to the
Mm,
side is Team USA celebrating. I laughed at
yeah.
that one. But it was really touching because they like so they like when they were celebrating, they were like skating around with Johnny Gaudreau's jersey, and then they had his daughters come in for the team picture wearing his jersey. So it was really touching. But I was so
Was that the
happy.
first time? Was it the first time like we've won
He
gold in like is it 20 years or something? I forgot
46
the stat.
years. This is the first time
Oh my God,
since
that's even worse.
they've won
I thought.
silver.
Oh, I mean, I thought.
They've won silver several
I,
times. But I mean, I they've it's a different like they've become a much better team because of development and stuff. And the NHL is like oh, here's a great example: the Um, Columbus Blue Jackets started in 2000. There had never been a Columbus hockey player, a Columbus-born hockey player in the NHL, um, up until like maybe like 2018 or something. Now there's like five or six because those people that
mm,
grew up with the Blue Jackets got into hockey. So now Columbus is pushing players into the system.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
So so anyway, we are doing. So we went back in time. I mostly did it because of one of the matches, and then I just said that like why don't we do some. We don't really do a lot of aughts and like early tens stuff. Not
Yeah,
because
for
of
some
any.
reason. I mean,
It's hard because like a lot of
we
it's
we
hard to
clearly
find.
could.
Well, the problem is like we should do more tens. I think we haven't done a lot of tens because when we started the show we were still in the tens, and
Yeah, that's true.
some of it's hard to find. But like the odds are kind of like not great for a lot of like wrestling, whereas the tens are. So we should do more tens. But so and I think it's just there's so much to dig into in like the 80s and the 90s, like so much like little obscure stuff, and we've done a lot of modern stuff, but we've actually done a lot of aughts so far this year.
The I mean, I almost want to push back at that statement that there's not a lot of good wrestling. Like there's good wrestling. Maybe it's like there's not a lot of great wrestling.
You have to go digging
Uh,
because like you have to go.
you did the indie boom did really start again. I mean, we talked about like the death of territories. Like
Mhm.
territory, the indie boom of the aughts was kind of like the rebirth of the territories. It's different though because obviously the territories were very successful and profitable because for the time they had like TV.
Yeah.
They had, and if maybe it was just local, it was just like regional TV, but they were on TV, like you could watch them. and that wasn't really the case with indies. It was more like you either paid for the DVDs, like you go to
Yeah,
Smart Mark Video or Ring of Honor and you got the DVDs. They
which
didn't
were
have streaming at
exorbitantly
that point.
expensive for a while, or
Yeah,
like, but like,
yeah.
well, the problem too is like, so I don't particularly want to revisit a lot of WWE from that era, and New Japan was just
Mhm.
awful for most of the aughts.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like the stuff you would want to find, like Ring of Honor, PWG, Chikara, um, IWA Mid South, like it's kind of hard to find that stuff without having to like make you guys spend money.
Hmm.
So that's kind of why I haven't gone for it.
Ch-
Like
Chika- Chikara is, I would give, now Chikara is almost to me like an asterisk. Can't even talk, asterisk, because if you're talking about good stuff, like there actually is like a lot of Chikara was good, and that
I
was
will
really in like the
I
odds.
will argue I will argue from 2008 to 2012 that Chikara was the best booked and most entertaining promotion in the world.
People, you say that, and I would agree with it, and people probably would be like, "What?" And especially if you just came into wrestling, you either like are an older fan, so like once WCW folded, maybe you just stay with WWE, but that's all you really watched. WWE, WCW, maybe ECW back in the day, or an older promotion. Or if you just started watching wrestling like the last few years, like the last like 10 years or so, when you had like maybe you had NXT really blowing up and then AEW, like if, or you were an old fan that got out of it and you got back into it, who knows? But if you weren't around for the aughts and didn't watch like indie wrestling, like you may not even know what we're talking about with Chikara. But you're right, like there was a time, and it would blow people's mind. But it's like you should have been there.
Yeah.
You needed to have been there. But at the time, like Chikara and the late aughts for sure, it was
Up until they
probably the
did
best booked.
the close down angle, I would
Oh,
argue
the
it was.
close down angle like just killed them.
Yeah.
Like they came back, but it was never the same after that. And I think we've mentioned this on the show, like, and you may have like corrected me, but I had always heard the rumor. It's like, oh, it's because like Quackenbush, his wife had an actual like real job, like a good job, like she was an
Yeah,
accountant or
she was
some doctor or
supposedly
something.
very successful and she was bankrolling it, and supposedly I think it was Saturn who he had like been having an affair with and she found out about, and they'd closed it down for maybe so she couldn't claim it in the divorce proceedings or whatever. That's always what I've heard. I don't know the accuracy to that.
Yeah, that was something I heard. That was a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard the rumor was that his wife was
Yeah. And
the money mark behind the promotion,
I don't
and that he cheated on her. They were like going through marital issues, and that's why. Because even if it wasn't like they were getting a
I
divorce,
don't I
it
don't
was
want to
just like
say
I'm not
his
funding your little
yeah.
project anymore.
And I don't remember. I don't want to say. Yeah, I'll just say it. I think because I know it came up on PWO, and I think Dylan might have said it. And if Dylan said it, it's probably not far off
Dylan
from the
Hale,
truth. Yeah,
Dylan Hales,
yeah, because he knows stuff. He knows like a lot of
he
people.
he would know. I guess is the best. Like I don't know that it's true, but he would.
Because
He'd be in a better position to know people
because
on the indie
people,
scene who could have said that
because
there was some truth to that.
when I mention um because a lot there's people in PW that know stuff, because people get really surprised when I talk about like Colt can kind of be a bit of an asshole, and people are like always shocked, and they're like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, well, I've heard like more than one person um say that he's difficult.
Yes, I've heard that too.
They
There's a lot of
and I've never told people. PW would be so mad because they were when we can talk about now because he's talked about other shows, but so there was a point where a certain Kevin Owens signed with the WWE, and he had an action figure coming out with someone that may or may not be a friend of the show and has appeared on here before, and
mhm.
it caused this whole uproar where they freaked out, and it's why they started trying to compete, like run NXT against Ring of Honor, and there were years where people were like, well, why are they freaking out? And then the rest of us were like, that knew our friend, were like, can't say anything, sorry.
Mhm.
There's even
Yeah, because
stuff.
there was There was like lawsuits and stuff going on, I think, behind the scenes.
There's even stuff, again, people would be mad at me because, like, okay, so this is why when people like Ibu and other guys kind of throw their weight around about having sources, and I've said before, it's not hard to have sources. Like when I did my Blue Jackets podcast like years ago, I had sources in the team.
Hmm.
And there's a specific incident where a player got suspended, and it's a big mystery, and people still don't know. And I knew what happened, and I couldn't tell anyone, and I still won't tell anyone, even though they don't work there. But I had a friend that was security for the team that told me what happened, but I couldn't tell anyone because he would have lost his job.
Mm.
But people are like, what happened? I'm
Yep.
like, well, they trashed the locker room is what happened. But
Mm.
it's still a big mystery. And I'm like, I knew the whole time, and I had to play dumb. Like there was a coworker, and I'm like, they're like, I wonder what happened there. I'm like, gee, yeah, I do wonder. But yeah, so that's the thing. It's not.
I mean, we don't know. You and I, like, we don't know anything. We don't know people, but I think we're part of groups that of people who may know things. So
Well, the thing is,
sometimes we.
what I was saying though is like, so with the Blue Jackets, like I did have sources within the team. It wasn't hard to do.
Mm.
And what in like with wrestling, like we could have sources we wanted to. It's not like that difficult. Like, because I know wrestlers. I know wrestlers that have been successful that
Mm. Mm.
would tell, that could tell me things. I mean, we've posted on message boards with people that have worked for WWE as wrestlers. We're friends with
Yeah.
people that have worked with a lot of wrestlers because they're in the business.
Mm.
It's not hard to do. That's what I'm saying. It's like when people are like, "Oh, they have sources." Like, yeah, it's not hard to do.
Yeah, you could do it, especially if you're trying to like aggregate stuff, you know. And then sometimes wrestlers, like, they befriend people because they want to get like their own narrative out about stuff, and they'll leak things, like,
Yeah,
for good or bad,
and some of it too is just as simple as like, if like I've been around in the internet wrestling space since 1999. I've been on message
Yeah.
boards a little after that. Like I've known Matt and Shad since 2002. Is I think when we crossed paths
Yeah.
on a message board for the first time. So there are literally like thousands of people. Like it's what I hate. Not going too deep into the political sphere, but like it's what I hate when people try to do a gotcha on someone, like in political space. Like, well, you knew this person, like in you know in this space like 15 years ago, and my thing is like, do you know how many people I have crossed paths with in internet spaces in some capacity? Like, I don't know what they're doing now. Like, I know a couple. Like, another example is like we know someone that got sent up the river. We posted on message board, well, more than one because it's the internet, but we've posted on message board with people that gotten busted for child porn. Like,
Oh yeah.
so
Oh
are
yeah.
we
And when we
guilty?
found out, we were. And the funny thing is, like, we always clowned on that person.
Oh yeah, because he was a
We didn't
creep.
know that though. He was
He's a
kind of a very
person.
pathetic person.
He was a
Mm.
person. He was a person that if it was real life, I would tell women to not be alone with them and to watch their drinks around them, and I would not be saying that in
Yes.
a joking
Yes.
way, because there was always
No,
something
we
off
knew that
about
he was very. Yeah, he was a very, and he would make comments that
were gross.
they weren't even like they weren't like
No,
explicitly rapey, but it was like,
no, who was it?
it would be like, I don't think that women should really be associating with you because you, at very least, it's very misogynistic things
Oh
coming out
no,
of your mouth.
remember
So
it was oh, who was it? Because our friend Frank befriended an old TNA wrestler. I think it was Trinity, and she was talking about like how he was a creep.
yeah.
Again, this is how we had a
I mean,
crossover with like a worker. I think it was Trinity. It was a TNA wrestler from like the early days, talking about like what a creepy loser he was. But yeah, but like there was someone else from like the TSM days that got busted for it. Like, but like what I'm saying is, like I hate when people do that because it's like, yeah, do you know how many people I've like crossed paths with on message boards that turned out to be like
Mm,
creeps or like went like insane over time?
hmm.
So
Yeah.
like I find it really unfair when
I,
people use like old associations that they don't even keep up with as like a gotcha on people. It's like, yeah, that was before they were insane.
yeah, I mean, you don't, just because you interact with them doesn't mean like you're their best friend and that you know what the hell they're doing in their private life outside of your
Or
interactions with them
yeah,
online. Y-
or
You know?
sometimes you know someone that's like cool for a long time and they just lose their mind. Like we going back to like our like we have a group we've kept up with over the years, but we've had a couple people over time drop out because they just lose their mind. It's happened more than once.
Right. That's true. I wonder who you're
There's
specifically
two.
referring to.
It's it's SC and LSU are the two I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because the
yeah.
one
Oh,
freaked
yeah, yeah.
out
Yeah.
because SC freaked out about politics for some reason. I don't remember why. Um,
Well, that's a lot of people freak out about that, but
but he freaked out at people like he freaked out like at people that were in like the same kind of sphere as him. I don't know. He was always weird. And then LSU freaked out because
mm,
he had like I don't know. I haven't kept up with him, but he had like a really toxic relationship with his wife, and he just dropped us for some reason. I think it was related to that, but I don't remember anymore because that's been like years.
people go crazy sometimes.
No, they do.
They just go completely off the reservation.
Yeah, and that's why I don't
You know,
about
and you
like
don't know
yeah,
what they're what's going on in their personal life, but I mean,
especially like especially since COVID, like and how politics brained people have gotten. I've noticed that's gotten a lot worse, where people just like lose their mind over.
oh, COVID made some people go just completely loco.
Yeah,
Like I know someone they were I was he was never more than an acquaintance. I met him maybe a handful of times at that. But he also uh he also worked at my place of employment. I think he still does. And he went like completely batshit crazy when COVID hit. Batshit crazy to the point where he was married when COVID hit. Like his wife, he got to be so crazy. His wife like apparently left him, like divorced him, because it's like you're just not the same person. You went crazy.
there's
And this
people.
person, he's still. It's like it's now going on 6 years after the start of COVID, and COVID obviously very serious. Many people die, whatever. But life is carried on. People are just they're not. You don't even hear about COVID anymore. This is the guy that 6 years later still walks around in like respirator mask. But I don't mean like I have my N95 mask walking around.
Oh, like a
I
gas
mean
mask
like
almost.
yes, no, like he's like about to go into a biohazard containment center, like like full on. He's still that way 6 years later, and he doesn't have anything that he's like immunocompromised, anything. He just is obsessed that it broke his brain. He's just off.
Well, there's like other people like that just like lock themselves away for a long time, and then like I don't know. I really struggle like because there's certain people. It's hard to like quantify, but like there are just certain people I knew for a long time that kind of like didn't go out for a long time and have kind of not gone out, and you can tell they locked themselves up for like 2.5 years because they're kind of cold now. Like when you deal with them.
I know someone like that, um, who they did kind of do that a little bit, and this person, it was actually because of COVID, and this person actually is immunocompromised.
Yeah, that I get.
So it's like they have a rationale, but then they're also like it's almost like a double standard because when it suits this person, it's like, oh, I can't do that. COVID,
Hmm.
like I could get sick and could really affect me. And then they also are like when they don't want to do something, they're like that, you know. But
Oh, but
then
then
it's also like
when they do, they're
they're
magically.
going on no, they're going on like trips in an airplane every other month,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like So you say you can't. I can't meet up with people. Like I can't go in this
But I could
public
be on
space,
a
COVID. And then like you're on an airplane for like
yeah
like 5 hours going somewhere.
with
You're not really
recycled
worried about
air.
COVID then. Yeah, but in fairness, this person has also they I would say like they've made comments sometimes where I'm like, that's a really like kind of cold, callous thing to say. But this person, I guess in fairness, maybe has some like moment of levity because they've also been like, oh, I need to work on my empathy. And it's like, okay, well, you at least realize like there's a social functioning disconnect a bit there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some people, I guess the moral of the story is you may associate with people, you may know people, you can't 100% like monitor their behavior or what's happening, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
People like, did you see what so and so said on Facebook? I'm like, no, because my general my general rule has become, and it's made my life a lot better, is if I'm a Facebook friend with you and you're politisperging, even if I agree with you and you do it more than once, I mute you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If that's your entire feed, I'm just like
Yeah. Even
I
if
don't really like even going on I don't
I
even like going on social media anymore. Like the only thing I really look at is like Twitter because that actually you can get like actual well memes, but also news.
I'm just there for
Uh
the reels and marketplace, and I happen to have
yeah,
to see people's stupidity for five
yeah.
seconds to get to that stuff.
Mm.
So no, I like Twitter. I don't know. I feel like Twitter is actually. I know it's against common knowledge, but I feel like Blue Sky was a godsend because Twitter's like slightly less toxic now, and especially once they like commodified the blue check mark, so like it's not like a special little club of like people jerking themselves off anymore. It made Twitter like slightly less shitty.
It can still be dumb, and you can still see people posting like obviously dumb stuff, but you can kind of tune it out a little more. Uh, Blue Sky, like I don't think is has been near like successful as
Not plateaued.
certainly as they want it to be.
Well, the problem
Yeah,
the
and
the problem with Blue Sky is it doesn't have diversity of content, and people that go over there looking for like not politics, it's not there. And if like you try to go
yeah,
over
I
there
think
as a
it's a lot.
business, you don't get engagement and stuff. It's just
Yeah, and trust me, I get that if people want to leave the platform owned by Elon Musk for something else, but it's also like, well, people also don't. People may have like, I guess, philosophical disagreements, so they'd want to do that, but they may also not just want everything 24/7 political tinged. So, you know,
I'm just
like
saying
I don't
like
necessarily. If I'm talking about something, if I'm talking about video games, like maybe I want to know about video games. I don't need to know like how politics are playing into video games or everything has to be like a certain political bent when I want to talk
I
about video
just
games. I just want to talk about video games.
I just how to say it. I have reached my mental capacity of caring, and when people want a politisberg, I'm just like I don't care. Like I'm tired, boss.
Well, I mean, it's some people it's like that's their 24/7 and it's like
Yeah,
it doesn't look you people get fatigued. Like
you
I
can't
don't
be hyper. You can't
I
be
live outside of Washington.
hyper.
Yeah, I live outside of Washington D.C. Trust me, it's like I'm well aware of politics. Like I'm not an ostrich with my head in the sand about politics, but I don't want it. I don't need it or want it to consume every moment of my life. Maybe I want to just like, you know, sit back in the small amount of free time I have, me and my wife, and maybe I just want to watch like a dumb TV show and not have to think about politics or whatever.
I like
Or maybe I want to
there's
read a
the
book or a comic book or something, play a
and
video game.
well the problem is like I they want you to care about everything, and you cannot potentially care about everything. And when people want to start
But
going
most people
on and
don't have
on,
that energy in their body.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like there's times where people are going on like, look, I honestly like I just want to say like, look, I really just care more about who's pitching for the Reds tomorrow than whatever you're talking about. Can we just stop, please?
Yeah.
And it's even like people I agree with
Or I
politically.
what well, yeah. But then that's fraught too, because sometimes people it's like you think, well, I agree with you, and it's like, but you don't. You don't agree exactly like it's like, oh god. on, like I agree with 95% of what you're saying. Like what the 5%? It doesn't matter, right? It's like no. It's like come on. Or
I kind of piss everyone off with
yeah.
my with where I stand anymore. I piss lefties and righties off
Oh yeah.
in
That's
equal.
always where we're talking vaguely about politics. We're not actually talking politics because if we really talked about it, like I could trash both parties and
Oh
ideologies
yeah.
on something. So I would offend everyone probably because somewhere I'd find like something that you like would get mad at me about. Yeah, maybe I agree with you in like 50% of this subject and then 50% on these subjects, and I've set someone somewhere.
But
But
I find
I
like
the thing I also hate. Sorry to cut you off. The
oh
thing I also hate where it's like, man, like you said, like man, I just want to know what he's pitching for the Red Sox tomorrow, like or the Red. I don't want to. I don't care about this. Like, well, that's also you're supporting the status quo by not having a political opinion. It's like, come on, guys. I don't want to think sometimes. I think a lot actually about these things, but maybe I don't want it to be 24/7 consuming me.
and I hate that
You
too.
know, I
I hate
just
that
want to.
too because when they say that and it's like, have you seen what the fucking options have been for like the last like
Yeah,
6 presidential elections? Like
yes,
give me a break.
douche and a turd sandwich.
Yeah.
It's over and over again, rinse, repeat.
But it's just but some of it too like they want you to care and I'm like, look, I don't like I'm going to vaguely say something like the Middle East. Like they want to get into something about the Middle East. Like, look, that is a region where some of these groups have been in conflict with each other for longer than our country has existed. Like, I don't have an opinion because I don't understand the nuance of the issue. And like you can't it just but like or other things where it's just like, yeah, I don't have an opinion because I don't know enough. And I don't want
That's
to.
a fair answer. You should be like, hey, I don't want to talk because I'm not knowledgeable enough. I don't want to give like an uninformed opinion. It's like that's the right answer even. It's like you don't want to just spout off nonsense. But for some people, it's like no. It's like no, come on. I just give me cut us a break here.
Yeah, but
I
it's
don't
like
engage. I don't engage in the. I don't like the total war approach to politics, where it's like everything, all consuming your life at all times. It's like no. I've seen those people online. Those people are like crazy, and I don't feel like they're happy people because everything works them up, and
no,
it's like
because they can't have any. There's people I've known that have fallen into that trap, and like they are just the most like miserable of people now, because everything is just so politics brained, and they have to see everything like through that lens of like politics.
mm,
And like a
mm,
lot of things, it's interesting too because like it's like you sound exact like you sound like a lot like your exact counterpart to the other side in a lot of ways.
mm,
But I don't know. It drives me up the wall. It really does.
yeah,
And I'm just tired of like culture war shit. I'm just tired of.
yeah. I mean, again, I can because there's people we know people who will engage the insert the culture war into like Star Wars stuff, and it's like I complain about Star Wars at no point where you hear me talking about like the culture war. Oh, Star Wars is too woke or whatever. I'm just like, no, I think it's too much of it. I'm tired of the Jedi, and I don't think it's well written anymore. So those are all like completely, I would think, apolitical comments about Star Wars. So I'm not even approaching it from that lens. But we know people who are like, that's it's like, oh, look how woke it is now. It's like I don't, what does that mean? I don't care. It's just
You get it
I
from, but
I
the
told you why I
problem is
don't
you get
like it.
it.
It's too much of it. It's not well written or done,
The problem is you
and
get it. You get
I
it
am
from both.
tired, tired
The
of the
problem is
Jedi.
you get it from both sides. Because you get the people that are like, well, it's woke because of this, and this. But then you get the other people that are like, oh no, you just hate it because you're racist. It's like, no, I hate it because it sucks.
Oh yeah, like Acolyte was one too. Like it's like, oh, you didn't like it because like the main character was African American. It's like I didn't watch it because it didn't appeal to me. Like I didn't even know like that she was the main character, and that's it's like it. I don't know. I I have so limited free time. I got two small kids. Like, and it doesn't appeal to me because they did too much Star Wars stuff. So no, it's not because this person is, a person of color. Like, I don't care. And also, is it this in a space setting? There's aliens running around. Like, why would their race matter to me? There's literally alien races. There's like a lot of alien races. Like, I there's green people. Like that person looks like an elephant. Like why would that bother
Well,
me as the person watching this? It's like
I do
it's
hate it.
everything's silly anymore. No one is mature enough to have a
I do hate
conversation.
it in the sci-fi like space. I do hate the woke thing though because it is there. It's in a lot of stuff, and I just, something can be woke and be okay. Which funnily, the anti-woke stuff is usually bad for like the same reason woke stuff is bad. They fall into the same pit trap. But I hate it in sci-fi because there's a lot of stolen valor in sci-fi because
The
like
the problem is the problem is like people throw that term around woke, and it's
yeah.
like I actually know because back in the I actually that's the thing. It's like I care in the sense that I actually do study some of this stuff and look it up and what does this mean? So I actually know like historically what you're talking about when you say woke, but I don't think people now know what it is.
No, it's
Like people on
gone.
the left say woke because they just people both left and right, they just like, oh, it's like left wing or left leaning, and like they're that term, and it's like, oh, if I'm at the left, it's like, oh, woke's good, and on the right, it's like, oh, woke's bad, and it's like define it, and I don't feel most people can't.
Yeah. But so the problem
I
in
don't think they
sci
could do it to
the,
define it.
the problem
So
like
it's like
sci-fi though is
it's all you like talk about it. Yeah.
the problem in sci-fi though
Go ahead.
is there's a lot of stolen valor in like sci-fi because like I'll use a great example because it just happened a couple years ago where they were like, well, this is like the first like non-binary character in like a sci-fi novel, and I'm like, no. Like I could go back to the 50s and 60s and find you non-binary. That is not like for one thing, it's like I don't care. You're talking about sci-fi where you could have asexual lizard people laying eggs to reproduce. Like no one cares. But secondly,
Mhm.
like you can go back to the 60s and find like gay characters. You can find non-binary characters. I'm pretty sure like in TOS or TNG there's non-binary characters. I'm 99% sure in at least TNG there is non-binary characters. Like so please, and they do it with other stuff. Like they did in Star Trek where like when they did Discovery, they're like, well, this is like the first like black captain. It's like, did Cisco not
Yeah,
exist?
wow. Did they
Yeah.
really say that?
Yes. And like it's
And
the weird.
that's assuming we forget
Oh, Matt died.
you have to go back through all the episodes. They don't just show like a random Starfleet captain. That's a
Yeah.
minority, which I'm sure there were.
Oh no,
Lenin,
yeah, yeah.
like Sulu, I think becomes a captain at some point. It's like
Yeah.
there's tons of eh, then you're just being silly at that
Well, they
point,
do
and
it.
you're not even understanding your own history of your like product.
They also do it in like comics where they're like, "Well, you comics fans just don't like minorities." It's like Storm's been around since the '70s, and she's one of the most popular Marvel characters like ever.
Oh yeah, they try to do that. And we talked about that before in the show, where it's like, well, no, it's actually like if you build a character up and they're well written, and you have good like characterization, they're well fleshed out, they're like complete characters, then people like them. Like back in the day, the one of the great examples is War Machine. You had Jim Rhodes, you established him as a character, and then you had the classic storyline where Tony Stark, because an alcoholic, he has to give up being Iron Man. So Rhodes, Jim Rhodes steps in, and he's Iron Man for a while. And
They,
then, Tony Stark comes back and Rhodes comes War Machine, a completely different character. But it's like he's a really super popular character and has been for like 40, 50 years.
I think my
And it's like,
favorite.
yeah, because you gave him a whole arc, you built him up, you characterized him well. I mean, obviously in another example, like and obviously in recent times, like Black Panther has really blown up. But it's like Black Panther's been around since like what like the 60s? The 70s?
Yeah.
Hugely popular character. Miles Morales is more recent, like the last like
So
20,
I
25
did
years.
I did laugh because Christopher Priest did some trolling with Black Panther recently. He did some series where he made Black
Mm.
Panther like a white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes. I think the point he was making was people are going to say this is stupid, which they did. But I heard that and I'm like,
Mm.
that's stupid. Like written by Christopher Priest. I just laughed. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
he's
he's
just
trolling, yeah.
yeah, he's getting his jollies. But I was gonna say
He is
too.
because he knows people are gonna like go absolutely insane, and it's like, all right, you don't know who actually did the joke. You should see what he looks like.
Well,
He's playing all of you.
he has a
Yeah.
big bone of contention that I think is a fair criticism.
He
Is
has a valid one.
very
Yeah.
valid because and it's a problem comics is still doing. But so his complaint was essentially he stopped writing comics because for a while because they would only pitch him like black characters, and he's like, no, I want to like no like I'm a writer, like let me write Spider-Man,
I can
like
write
I
anyone.
yeah
Yeah. And we mentioned him because for those who know, Christopher Priest did a series back in the day of Black Panther, and it was very well received, very well done.
yeah
Christopher Priest is an African American, like, and
yeah
he's a great writer. He's a really good
yeah
comic book writer. He's done multiple, like, really well done things, and and that's almost like the reverse racism, kind of, where it's like,
no it's I
oh,
would
you're an
just
African American writer. It's like you can only write African American characters. That's like, their
I would
experience. You can
I would
speak to them, and he's like,
actually
I'm a writer. I can write anyone.
I would actually just say that's I don't reverse racism is just racism, but I would say in like if we're gonna
Well,
deal in
that's
like
true.
that
Yeah,
if we're gonna deal in like that kind of thing, I would just say it's still straight up racism because it's like you're limiting him based on race. Like I'll use a great example of like
yeah,
sports racism um, that I always bring up that people don't understand. So like when Jeremy Lin was like really popular, like all these sports writers were talking about like how he played, and it was like, well, he's not athletic and he's really smart at basketball is what because he's Asian was their thing. And it was like
yeah.
but the hilarious part was that's not true. He was actually a very low IQ player that had like a really good first step that relied on his athleticism a lot. But he wasn't like his 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 IQ of the game wasn't that great, so they were actually describing him opposite of what he was because they couldn't believe like an Asian man was athletic.
Because Asian people don't participate in sports, right? Like, you know,
Well, you see it in
it's so
football,
dumb.
but I mean, you see it in
Yeah.
football like they'll take like let's say like a wide receiver and they try to put him in the slot where he isn't good like as a receiver because they don't think he's athletic, but then if you actually watch him play like no his good he's a straight runner that burns people and then they're putting him in like an ill-defined it's weird in sports because it still pops up a lot, but um yeah, I don't know I just find both sides tiring with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be exhausting and tiring, and yeah.
It is exhausting because it's just like I just I want to enjoy things and they make it really hard to enjoy things.
Yeah.
Ugh, sorry, it's just exhausting. Everyone's exhausted right now with all that stuff. So anyway, these are so we have so this started because we were gonna do I picked match of the week was gonna be Blood Generation versus DoFixer, which is I would
Mm.
say oh, how do I want to state this? I don't want to overstate. It's kind of a marquee match of the aughts. If you did like if you said give me a list of like what were touchstone milestone matches of the aughts on the indies, well in wrestling in general for North America, this would
Mhm.
be this would be on the list of like
It would be. Um, I had some thoughts about that because when I watched it, and some of the backstory, like, I'm like, and it's a personal thing. It's a personal where I'm like, it was very innovative at the time. I feel like it's in the 20 cents years, it's been a little bit of a poison pill in some ways, and I'll get to that in a second. But uh, this was a very, like, a lodestone type of match,
yeah, it is
and people would
aged.
probably, if you'd be like, what are the best matches of the odds? this would almost certainly probably be on
It'd
it.
be like
Like for a lot of
if you asked me like what would be indie stuff from the aughts, it'd be the Punk Joe matches. Um, it would be it'd be this. Um, oh, now my brain's crapping out on me. There was one on the tip of my tongue. Danielson, Nigel McGuinness for the ROH title would be in there. Probably Joe Kabashi. There was one that was in my
Oh
brain.
yeah.
Oh, Joe Neck in there.
Joe Necker Butcher.
Yeah.
Maybe not the Cage of Death. What was the one from we saw? The
Oh, yeah,
CZW versus Ring of Honor.
the Cage of Death, which would be Team
The Cage of Death.
ROH
Yeah.
versus Team CZW. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Like I would have to dig. I could make an argument for that being the best match of the aughts.
It was good, but I think we reviewed it on the show. Like my criticism is also like there's a lot of scrubs in that. Like
Yeah.
comparatively. Like
I think the scrubs were intentional though, the way they structured it. I would say it's hard to remember what's like aughts and what's not, unfortunately. There's
if you want to
Oh, go ahead.
if you want to give WWE a bone, Punk Cena.
Was that
Which
is
that
that
was
tens?
that was I thought that was I thought well, no, actually you're right. That might have been
Well,
2010
the
that 2011, I think.
WWE
I
would
stand
have
corrected.
if we stretched out for big league stuff. So WWE would have Austin Benoit from SmackDown. It would have
Oh yeah.
the Austin Triple H versus Benoit Jericho match. I think Austin
Oh
Triple
yeah.
H 3 Stages of Hell was um in the 2000s. Some of the Triple H McFoley stuff. Uh, I think Taker Michaels would probably be up there.
Mm.
So I mean, the
He does some
WWE,
stuff.
yeah, WWE would have like stuff. I just would have to go through it. I'm sure like
What was the TNA like the infamous one where it was Daniels,
that's
Helix Skipper?
2005. Oh yeah, a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff's 2000, and then the
Yeah.
Daniels Styles Joe match, which was their best match for a long
Mm,
time.
yeah. Anyway, this
I
is an innovative match. It's from
well, I was
it's
gonna
from Ring
say
of Honor.
I wanted to say that. So keep in mind if you were to watch this, it's kind of aged badly because the style they're doing has evolved a lot. Because this is kind of the early stages of like lucha resu. So I think
Lucha Resu, yeah.
because like I saw it at the time, and I probably like in hindsight I would have probably agreed with Dave Meltzer saying it's a 5-star match. But like I watch it now, I'm kind of like, well, it's kind of like I've seen it done better, and why I think we can get into it a little later, but like yeah, at the time it hit really hard because you hadn't quite seen anything like that with that quality of worker, and now like the
No.
style has evolved a lot.
Yeah. Let me give some quick backstory. This was on Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor on March 31st, 2006.
Almost 20 years
And
old.
it's almost 20 years old, like almost to the day 20 years old. And it features guys from Dragon Gate, the Japanese promotion, which
Yeah,
in the
there
years since has become one of the biggest Japanese promotions. Like
it's struggled since COVID, but for a long time they were number 2.
yeah, it has struggled, but it still does pretty well. It start for those just
Let
a little
me
bit more
okay,
like
so
history lesson.
here's the names of the people, and I'm excited to look it up just so we can get that out of the way. So this is Blood Generation is Shima, Masato Yoshino, and Naruki Doi. And then DoFixer is Dragon Kid, Genki Horiguchi, and Ryo Sato. So that's
Yes, and Dragon Gate. So Ultima Dragon, obviously very legendary Japanese worker cruiserweight, was in WCW back in the day.
Got his arm
Also in
mangled by
WWE, although
WCW.
that
Yeah, got his arm mangled by
yeah
WCW
was
doctors.
yeah was in WWE, which was not, he didn't have
Does
the best
that
run, but I
no?
mean
Because they thought they were getting another Mysterio, and then he's not Rey Mysterio. He had a
yeah
cool entrance, but then they
yeah
didn't like use him. He's also underrated, but he had big runs in CMLL, where this kind
yes
of feeds
yeah
into this.
yeah, and he did work at CMLL, like picked up a lot of like lucha, you know, uh, moves and things that he learned there. He formed a company called Torimon.
Yep,
I think it's how it's pronounced,
yeah,
and that featured a lot of guys who there were guys because of his WCW connection that he actually you did see pop up in
yeah.
WCW.
Dragon Kid actually
Shima was one of them.
Dragon Kid beat Eddie Guerrero on Nitro.
I don't remember that match.
Chavo
I don't
Chavo
remember.
I linked it, but Chavo, like it was this era where Chavo was like messing with him, so Chavo came out and then Dragon
Mm,
Kid rolled him up. He was Little Dragon.
okay, I don't remember that. But Dragon Kid is obviously Ultimate Dragon's protege. Shima was in WCW for like a couple matches. I think there was also either Tokyo Magnum or Magnum Tokyo because I think it's inverted in the USA or
Yeah,
Japan.
but
He's both the same guy.
he was like an underling for Disco and Alex for a while, so he actually had a
Yes,
bit of a
yeah.
run.
So
And
he,
I saw him
yeah,
on a house show. I went to a house show and he wrestled Chavo in like
okay.
'98.
He was a pretty good worker. He and also I think Sumo Fuji. Like you saw some of those guys pop up in WCW. They're part of Torimon. Within Torimon, like Ultimate Dragon basically dissolved that and it became
Dragon
Dragon
Gate.
Gate.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Shima was basically
the top guy.
like given the yeah, he was the top guy. He was like given the title like when they formed Dragon Gate. Um
What?
and it's clear he like he's kind of like the star
Well,
here. Like
Dragon Gate's different if you've never watched it. So Dragon Gate is a Stable Wars promotion. So pretty much
it's like faction wars, yeah.
yeah, and so like when a guy turns, it's because he joins a different team. They also have what I think is the coolest belt in wrestling. So what happens
Hmm.
is when you challenge for the belt, you get a key. And if you win the belt,
Hmm.
then you open the belt up with your key, and you take your nameplate out to put on the belt. But if you lose, then the champion gets your key. So as he starts successfully defending the title, he starts collecting keys on his belt. So he walks out and like, oh, he has 3 keys on there, so he's defended it 3 times. But it's a cool belt
Hmm.
concept. I love it. I think it's a cool
It
belt.
it actually it is again like in wrestling like everything has been done before. So it when you do something like that, it's kind of innovative or different. And it's like it actually stands out. I think it enhances the product. But uh that's kind of like your backstory. Like these guys were some of them were Toramon. I don't know if all of them were. I that I'm a little hazy on that. But
So
this is now Dragon Gate, and this was kind of like
Tokyo
I
Magnum
feel this is really like
retired early, but I mean, there's some other guys like
yeah, he wasn't around like that long.
Milano Collection AT. I think started with Toramon.
Mm. Is he still with New Japan?
No, he's been retired for years.
Well, no, I know like as a worker, but I know he was doing like commentary. I think for
No,
for
I
a
don't
long
know.
time.
He might be.
I I think he did commentary. Well, I mean, it could have been at this point like a few years. Like my New Japan sub like ended like 3 years
Yeah,
ago
it's
maybe, and I didn't renew it
I toyed with
2 years ago.
subscribing this year, but I'm like I have enough subscriptions, and New Japan's just
I have too many, and I have Wrestle Universe, and it's cheap because it's like under $10, but it's like I don't have the time to watch everything there. So
fun fact.
um,
The Monday Magics, Naruki Doi and Dragon Kid both made appearances on the current season.
we used to Dragon Kid just turned like 50.
Yes, he just turned 50, like I think like February
Well, New
2nd or 4th, and I'm like, dear God, I'm old.
well, I looked up. I certainly looked up Masato Ishino, and he's retired now. He's been retired for about five
Well,
years, and
he did
he's only
like
45.
he did like in 2024 he did like some weird 5 minute exhibition with Shima.
Oh, really? I remember like I didn't see like a ton. I don't have like I'm not that super knowledgeable about Dragon Gate. I've
I
seen some of
was.
it, but
We'll get into it when we get to USA, but I was actually off of this. I started getting the DVDs, and I was actually a big fan for a while, and then a certain
mhm.
fat fuck that ruins everything that he touches decided that he was
Gabe.
going to be a big man and do all these cease and desists and get Dragon Gate stuff taken off of every tape trading site because he's a fucking prick that hasn't seen his dick in
Hmm.
probably 30. Well, how old is he? We'll say 40 years. We'll be safe and say 40 years. So then you couldn't get it. And then because he's a fucking idiot, he ran Dragon Gate USA into the ground in record time. Because if we know one thing about Gabe, is that he's, well, one, fat, and two, he fails at everything that he touches and somehow gets more opportunities. So then there was no DGUSA before, and they didn't have any avenue that they were ever going to sell Dragon Gate stuff. So you couldn't get Dragon Gate stuff for like a decade. And of course, that
Hmm.
killed like they were, that's what people don't understand. So like from this point on until he did DGUSA, Dragon Gate was actually pretty popular in the United States. So he totally killed them dead. And then when all this streaming stuff happened and when these companies started coming over, he had made sure that they were dead in the United States because people couldn't get their shit. So they lost out on that opportunity like 8 years down the road to like really expand out into the US because, you know, Gabe is an idiot. Sorry, I hate Gabe Sapolsky. Like he's just like all the stuff about how he treats workers, he doesn't pay people. Um,
Oh, yes, yeah. That's been consistent for like years and years and years. He does that, and yet
his like, I
he
don't want
he
to, I
he's
don't,
he's honestly like the hot dogs and handshakes. Like that's
and
that's him. Like
I'm
legit.
not gonna throw the racism word at him, but like his bias against luchadors like really pisses me off. I won't say it. I really want to just say it, but I won't say it though. But his bias against luchadors pisses me off, and I don't get it. But whatever, you do you, Gabe. Way to run WWID into the ground in less than a year.
Mm. Oh yeah, I think they're still trying to do that, but probably because they've been like trying to pick it up. But I think it's probably because like they got where the Tony Khan is like trying to is maybe hiring more people and has hired people in the last like 2 3 months. So maybe I think they're trying to like, oh, we gotta hire more people. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
sure. I'm sure they're really gonna be people are really gonna be dying to book, Cappuccino Jones and Jack Hartwheel to their shows, but
yeah. Well, I think Jack Cartwheel's
you do
like,
you.
yeah, I know. Well, I knew like I thought like I did think when they first came up with the idea, I thought it like at its core it's a good idea like, but I thought like in the sense of, well, we're going to do this like if they did it as okay, go to these promotions like, hey, if you book some NXT talent, we'll like pay for them. We just want them to get exposure to different styles and like different situations and just get them ring time. I thought that was a good idea. And then they put Gabe in charge. I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, that's already failed."
Yeah,
And it failed because he's an
yeah.
idiot. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So,
Mm,
so this is kind of this is a very spot heavy match. And I think where it does
mm,
stand out still now is usually when you see a match like this, it's a bunch of skinny guys and wife beaters that really don't know how to wrestle very well. Um,
mm,
whereas with this is these are very good workers with a lot of charisma doing stuff.
mm. That's that's ultimately like, in my opinion, what saves it. I will say this, like at the time, this is like innovative stuff, and this
Yeah.
is like groundbreaking stuff, and you didn't see this type of stuff before. Like I
No,
remember
not with this caliber of guy
it
in it.
no, I remember like when I first started when I was a kid and I got into watching wrestling, I got into it in 92. And within 6 months of watching it in early like January 93, uh the WCW offered as like a just a pay-per-view on cable it was WCW versus New Japan Super Show 3. And I got my parents to buy it for me because it was cheaper than the other pay-per-views. It wasn't like whatever they were. In 92 it wasn't as much as it would get, but I think it was like regular
$20.
pay-per-views like $20,
Well, I think
$20,
it might have been 30
maybe
because I
30.
know
This was like
like
$10.
when like In Your House started in 95, I think those were 2-hour pay-per-views, but they were 20 instead of 30, but I don't know. I know when
Yeah,
I came
they were
in
cheaper.
97, $30 was standard fare. $30 is actually standard fare for probably a long time, at least 10 years, I think. Because I remember I used to, my parents had Dish, so um, if I had convinced them to let me get a wrestling pay per view, or I had a job and I gave them $30 to pay on the bill, I had to
Mhm.
call the company and get the pay per view turned on that day.
Yeah. But I got that pay-per-view because it was like $10. It was like
Yeah,
much cheaper than regular pay-per-views. So my parents were like, okay, sure. And I remember watching Ultimo Dragon versus Jushin Thunder Liger for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, and it blew me away because I'm like, they were doing stuff that it's like I'd never seen before. And if I went back and watched that, which I probably should, but if I went back and watched that, like it probably is nowhere near what you'd see, maybe even like a regular Dynamite, like in terms of the spots that they would do. But it blew me away because it's like, oh, I've never seen this type of stuff before done by like really good workers in this fashion. And that's kind of what this match was. It's like it blew people's minds because it's like really competent workers doing stuff and also doing it ultra fast,
and who are
which is a
super,
criticism that Shad had when he
yeah.
watched this match.
But it's also they are super charismatic. So if you come into this blind and you don't really know who these guys are, they make you care about them pretty quick. Like you might not know who they are, but it's like, oh, that guy's interesting because, like I said, they have charisma. It's not like when you saw like scrambles in ROH in this era where it was just like the Special K kids who couldn't do normal matches essentially, and they
Mhm.
were kind of
Yeah.
interchangeable and you didn't care, and they had dumb names. Like, so they aren't like that. Like, they're actually like real workers. They have a lot of charisma. They demand your attention. They know how to play to a crowd, that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
I think I think I think my biggest issue with it is so there's 2 points where I thought it should have ended where like so there's a spot where Dragon Kid does a Hurricane Rana off of a guy's shoulders off of the top rope. So it's like a super Hurricane Rana, and then that guy splashed
Mhm.
him. I thought that should have been an ending, and then they did this tower move on Dragon Kid where both guys kind of held him, and then Shima did like a double stomp on him, and then did this move on him. I
Mhm.
thought those two should have been like those are two spots where I thought it should have ended, but no, it kept going, and then I thought
It
the
kept
ending
going.
was anticlimactic.
The Rana spot you're talking about, like they went another like 5 minutes.
I know.
It's like, and they were doing like the like super big move, and then it was like a kick out,
Yeah.
like 2 3/4. It's like at some point I was like, just end it, dude.
Yeah.
Like because then you're right, like the finish is like, oh, it's almost
And it
anticlimactic as
was
I've
it
seen.
was a movie done already too.
Yeah, it's like I've seen you do stuff to each other for like that you should have like ended the match like for the last like five
Well,
minutes.
and
So,
both of those points felt like natural ending points, like the way they'd set it up. Like I would say, especially the double Rana, but then the tower move, I thought also felt
mm,
like that had like it felt like a good ending point, like both of those, and then it kept going. And then when they finally did the finish, I was kind of like, okay, that was kind of
yeah.
anticlimactic.
Uh, yeah. And Meltzer gave this 5 stars. Um, and I guess contemporaneously, like I would have probably been like, oh, 5 stars. Like if I
I
seen
think
this at the time, I'd have been like, oh, go ahead,
I know you found that egregious,
go
but
ahead,
like
go ahead.
I would say I'd probably give this like 3.5 or 3 3/4. Like we really don't do star ratings. I'm just like guessing. I kind of don't know how
I
I feel about it, but
I
like at the time, I probably would have agreed with the 5 stars. So I feel like in context, it's not egregious, even though the match hasn't aged well. It's not like he goes back and like revisits this stuff. Is kind of like what I would
I I
say.
tried to. I was very when I found out Meltzer gave it 5, it bothered me. I won't lie to you, it bothered me. And since I watched it in the hours since, like I've tried to like been a little more kind and been like, you know what, I would maybe give this like 4 stars. Like I'd actually go like even higher than you. Like it's because it's a well done match. I think what does carry it is that the guys involved are really good workers and they are charismatic, so they're doing stuff and they can interject like their personality at points. Um, and so that does like to me elevate it. But otherwise, it's like it's a lot of like stunts, and it's basically like a lot of stunt spots and a lot of like finisher spam in the last like 2-3 minutes, or big move spam, and it's just a lot of like back and forth, doing stuff, but doing it really really fast, and that's fine. But I also feel like I can see why Meltzer gave it 5 stars because he likes that shit. But I
And
also
there's a
feel like to a
spectacle.
certain extent,
There is a
this sort of
spectacle
thing
to
like
it.
there's a spectacle, but I also feel like in some respect it's poisoned people, including Meltzer, like the next like 20 years from this, where people equate, oh, doing a lot of big spots really fast equals 5 star and up match.
Yeah.
And I'll say that because when I saw that, and then I saw that he gave this 5 stars, and I watched the match, it like triggered a memory in my brain from like 3-4 years ago, before he came to AEW. He was with New Japan. Meltzer and Brian Alvarez both going apeshit crazy, talking about how Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world because he does a lot of moves
Yeah.
and he does them so super fast. And I'm like, Will Ospreay is a good worker. There's people out there, I mean, people who like listen to the show who are like, he's the best wrestler in the world. He's amazing. He's fantastic. And it's like, he's a great worker. I actually will say I have nothing. I don't have animosity against him, so I'll preface by saying that.
Well, I will
I actually
say
feel he
to go
good.
along with you, where I struggle with him. I thought last year was better. I thought his in ring clicked with me better. Where I get frustrated with Osprey, and what surprises me, and where I think he's really underrated, is like he does the promos and the angle stuff so well, and like he always hits that stuff so well. Like it makes you want to see the match. Then like, but I don't like his matches. Is where I always struggle with him.
So to me, the fact when he got signed to AEW, I mean he did promo and angle stuff with New Japan, but it's a different animal where it's like they're not they're not heavy on that.
Yeah,
So you're not like, oh, like New Japan, their weekly TV show. It's like no,
and it's
they
more
don't
like a
do that. They
sports.
have
It's more like an after.
yes,
It's more like if you're a fan of your like let's say I'll say the Reds, and you watch the game
mm,
and then you turn on the radio or you watch it on the after show and it's like the coach and the players like giving interviews about the game. That's more what like New
yes,
Japan promos are like.
yes, yes. So when they signed Will Ospreay, it's like, all right, let's see how this is. And I have felt he really did knock it. He's knocked it out of the park with his promos, which have been like really, really good. And by that, I don't even mean like I'm not even focusing on like, oh, is the content of what you're saying good? Which is it's been good. It's like, can you talk with ease? Are you getting your character over? Like, and it's
Do
like
you have
he's actually I feel
emotion?
knocked it out of the park with that. He's surprised me with how good he's been, and he can get angles over, like to the point where he's got to come back from surgery, and it's expected, it's rumored that when they bring him back, like that's going to be like the push to him winning the belt. And I think that you have the opportunity. I disagree with Meltzer because Meltzer literally look, a lot of people in wrestling fandom have their very special guy.
Yeah.
And Will Ospreay has been Dave Meltzer's very special guy for years now. So when he signed, Meltzer literally was complaining like 2 months in that it's like, why haven't they put the belt on him yet? And it's like, come on, Dave, come on. Like, but I do think that in the year of our Lord, 2026, they have the opportunity that bringing him back, like now's the moment where you build him up and you can put the world title on him and have him like run with them. You could have a really big, an even bigger star in Will Ospreay with the belt. But I feel like Will Ospreay he's improved a lot, not just the promos and angles, like I said, but as a worker, I feel he's improved a lot. But I'm never going to put at this point until he changes, which I don't know if he ever will. I'm not going to put Will Ospreay above someone like Kenny Omega or Ric Flair or Terry Funk or someone like that because it's like I feel there is a selling and a psychology aspect to his matches that he either lacks or doesn't do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to turn the hurdle. And then I saw some things where he's like, "Oh, I have like ADHD and I'm like someone on the spectrum autistic." And I'm not hating on that at all. I'm just saying like if you have that, that actually makes sense because if you're neurodivergent, then it's like, well, maybe if you are if you're that way that it's like maybe you literally just forgot in the match the heat of everything to start selling the leg that the guy's been working on for like 5 minutes. Maybe that's actually like there's a legitimate reason for that, but the fact that he doesn't do something like that, you know, his opponent will work the leg for 5 minutes and then he'll be popping up and doing like corkscrews and things
Yeah.
like that. And it's like, okay, the match is great, but that's going to take me out of it. Like
Yeah.
I personally like maybe most people won't. It will to me. And again, that doesn't mean anything. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a garbage match. Probably not. But I'm not going to be like Dave Meltzer. It's like 5+ stars. I might be like, no, maybe 4 stars. And again, you're quibbling. It's like whatever. But I bring all that back to bring it back to this match. It's like it reminded me of what so much of like a lot of things are now, where it's like it can just be like big spot, big spot, big spot, big spot, done really fast, and people like this is cinema, brilliant,
Yeah.
and it's like yes and no. Like it could be really good, but I'm not gonna think that it's like oh this is a great, fantastic, memorable super match if it doesn't have a little more where it's like there's a story being told, there's some psychology going on. This I think again, when I first saw it and I saw the Dave Meltzer 5 star, I'm like, it made me angry, and I like, no, absolutely not, and like that's a problem because then it's like now everyone, and it's not just him, it's like a lot of people from the Observer, it's like they love that style now. It's like big spot, big spot, big spot, you know, super fast movement, and it's like, it. I feel like it poisoned things, but I try to think since then, the hour since I saw that, I'm like maybe being too harsh, so I would probably give it 4 stars, and it's like but it's why it's because like the guys it isn't just big spot big spot big spot, it is, but also the guys actually tried to tell a story where it's faction versus faction, and they brought their charisma into play. And again, I wish Shad was on the show because he could talk about this, but there are things you do as a worker that could be subtle but get you over. It's like I'm doing a move, you're doing a move, but it's like maybe then I'll just like stop and like slap you in the face because I'm a dick heel. And
Or
then like that little movement,
when
or
we
I'm like
watched
taunting you, and that little movement right there is like I'm getting my character over,
or
and
like
it adds something to the match.
the Mayu uh Watanabe versus Suzume match where Watanabe kind of
Hmm.
subtly played a heel where like you could see her getting frustrated she wasn't beating her. Like, maybe rolling her eyes at a 2 count and stuff. Like doing things that kind of made her a little unlikable to get you more on Suzume's side. Like stuff like that can be.
Or even yeah, or even because Suzume is like the little underdog babyface,
Yeah.
or at least a little underdog, and not as strong as Miyu. And Miyu just does things where it's like she knows Miyu can't like escape because she's way stronger than her. And it's like, and I don't do this with my daughters. Like I'm not like, I'm not throwing them down at body slams. But there's sometimes like they're acting up, whatever like that. I'll just pick them up and just like grab them. And they're like, struggling. And I'm like, nope, too strong. Not gonna. I
Yeah.
do that with my now 3-year-old is like she'll like be naughty and just like being a little terror. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna pick you. You're deregulated. You're dysregulated. I'm gonna pick you up. Bear hug.
Yeah.
Ah, daddy, no. I'm like, nope, can't escape me. And eventually she's just like, ah.
That's
And me, you did that, but it's like, yeah, she's being a kind of like a subtle heel where it's like, I'm stronger than you.
okay.
But that adds, it adds to the match. It adds to
Yeah.
the match because you're getting like you're telling a story.
So what Shad said, I asked him to write this down so we could give his perspective because he had thoughts on all this stuff. So he said, to me, it's a typical aughts era sprint, everyone moving really fast and sometimes too fast because it robs spots of their gravity. Also, they're going so damn fast that I saw times where they would come to a dead stop because they can't go into a spot at that speed. I took this as a precursor to the AEW party match, so so it wasn't as refined, which I think is fair. I like I said, I think in context, like I remember watching it at the time and really loving it because of its like uniqueness. Because like I said, when you usually got spot matches, like the guys weren't charismatic or good wrestlers, so this was kind of like different. But we're gonna move on here. So we're gonna go over to Chikara. I don't remember the year on this. I think this is probably like 2012-ish era, maybe 2013. No, this is probably 2011 or 2012. So this is Sara Del Rey versus Kana. Kana is Asuka from WWE. If you don't know that,
Yes. This is from October 8th, 2011.
okay. So this is probably when they did their Joshi Mania shows. Um, I'm guessing.
Yeah, which at they kind of had this is before she signed with WWE.
She did a lot of
Um,
Chikara. Like shockingly, she's in Chikara more than you would think.
yeah, but she must have been doing like a little tour of the US because at this same around the same time, and I mean within the similar amount of days to weeks, uh she did a match with Sara Del Rey on Shimmer.
Mm.
Uh it's around this time. Which by the way, I hear that that's finally gonna come to DVD.
No, it's
I
gonna.
know Brad would like
It's
Brad would pop for that. It's
it's
like,
gotta
yes,
be.
14 years, 15 years later,
It's got
like
it's
the
got a
Shimmer
it's got a
DVD
couple
is
more
finally coming
years.
out of the
So this is so I did remember. So I want to say like Sarah Del Rey's kind of an unsung like pioneer where I think she helped kind of popularize the idea of like women working at a high rate. And unfortunately, I would say the bad part of her legacy is she also kind of popularized promotions doing intergender wrestling because the thing with Sarah Del Rey is she can hold up her end of a match enough so the male wrestlers don't have to dumb it down or slow down and look like shit pretty much against her.
Mhm.
Because if you've never seen Sarah Del Rey wrestle, Sarah Del Rey is built kind of like a tank
Yeah, I mean, she she had already done some Ring of Honor. She had been with Ring of Honor
for
and
a
done some
couple
stuff with
years.
them for a while.
5, I think it's about like
Yeah,
for
because I
quite a while.
remember like going to yeah, I remember her I had gone to some shows that were in the Northern Virginia area. And if anything, and I'm not trying to like body shame or anything like that, but she actually at this point, looking at her in the match, like she's actually slimmed down from what she had been. She was a little bit like bigger and like but she is like she's she's she is like kind of built
She's
like a tank and she's strong.
this is not body shaming it because she's kind of built similar to Liger where she's very bottom heavy, which I think is good for a worker because it lets you bump more. And she's
Mhm.
not like when we say she's bigger, she's not like fat. She's athletic.
No. Yes.
Like she's built like a fighter pretty much.
Yeah, she's not and not even like stocky. Like she's kind of since we just mentioned her, like maybe a little like Miyu Watanabe. Although Miyu might be shorter and
I
is
don't remember how tall Sarah is.
probably broader in like the upper body.
I've never seen Sarah live, so I don't know how. tall she is. I'm imagining she's
I
like
have,
five
but I don't
six.
recall.
She seems like
I
she's
feel
kind
like
of
that's
tall.
probably right because I feel like she's look how tall like Asuka is because I feel like she would may have been
Asuka's
taller
like
than
5'4". Asuka's not like short, but she's not like tall either. I've seen Asuka wrestle in
I'm
person before.
Asuka's allegedly 5'3",
Okay.
which is very common for a Japanese woman. Let me
Well,
see.
unless it's TJPW,
Sarah
where a lot of them actually 5'3" is above.
4'11".
I
Yeah.
think 5'3" is I think above average for a Japanese woman because I think like 5'1" is the average.
Oh my God, they're listing her. Sara Del Rey's height is 5'9". I don't know about that.
No, no,
I
no,
feel
no,
like I've
no.
seen her in person, and that seems like you're giving her. But I can legitimately believe like 5'6".
Yeah,
Um,
she's a but if
yeah,
she's not 5'9", she is well above average for like I think a woman.
yeah. But point is, like, she is like athletically built. Like, if you and you'd have to body shame, but if you saw her in person, you would not think, oh, that woman is like heavy,
No.
heavy set. She's not. She is athletic and comes off as athletic.
Yeah.
Um, and she you're right, like she could at the time like and did was involved in intergender wrestling, and she's a really good worker, so
She's in the only
it's not if
good. She's in the only intergender match I've ever liked, and that's her versus Fidian in the Chikara 12 Large Summit because they named it after Larry
mm,
Sweeney. I've been trying to get it. I want to do it on the show, but I can't find it like as a YouTube thing. So I have to, I've been trying to figure out how to get it without making you guys pay for something. But if you've
mm,
never seen a Fidian, he's smaller, but it's pretty much. I was just watching a DVD and they just start throwing bombs on each other, and it's a really great
mm,
little match that came out of nowhere.
mm,
If I can ever figure out how to get it, we'll do it on the show. But
yeah. This this match was interesting. Like it opened up and
it's kind of shoot
it's
style almost.
it's introduced. It is almost shoot style. It was introduced like the promo. It was introduced by Mike Quackenbush,
This is Chikara
and
Podcast to Go Go, which if you don't know, this
yes,
was on. This was actually on iTunes way back in the day um before like YouTube was as popular. And so what they would do is they would do this show and they would do it to pretty much sell you DVDs because they showed the whole match here, but usually what Podcast to Go Go does is they would do like a little 15-minute show and show you two matches in like clipped form. Is kind of what Chikara Podcast to Go Go was.
yeah, that he gave a really it was interesting because he introduced it, and the announcers were actually the people who announced it was Gavin Loudspeaker, who commonly did commentary, and wasn't it Ultramantis Black?
I think so.
I think
It wasn't Leonard, was it?
yeah, but no, I think it was Ultramantis Black,
I think Leonard might have done
but it was
the
interesting because
next match, actually.
but it this must have been around like 2019 when this was on the podcast to Go Go uh because Mike Quackenbush comes in there and he's like he starts talking about how like this match Anna versus Sara Del Rey main evented this Chikara show, which was in where was this? Was it in like Kentucky? Like I forget
It
where he
was
said it was
in
from.
it was Kingsport.
Uh,
It was Kingsport, Tennessee, because they said it once.
okay, Tennessee. I knew it was like in the South somewhere. But it main evented that, and it's like, well, Chikara did that 8 years before, like women main evented WrestleMania, and it's like, hey, Mike Quackenbush,
Yeah,
it's like, what am I supposed to do with that information? Like, oh, great, Chikara did it first. Ooh, like I don't know. It was weird, but anyway, uh, I was the bottom rope missing with it. Did they break the bottom rope is missing in this match, and I don't know why. Like,
they
was it
probably busted it and
broken? Did
couldn't.
it break off?
Must have.
I guess. This was kind of shoot style. I also felt it was kind of worked more in just like almost like a, I say traditional Joshi style, but it was definitely more like hard hitting than
And
you'd
there was like the
see.
strategy, so like
And
they both were trying to work the other's legs because they didn't want to get kicked. It's kind of.
yeah,
You know what's
and
funny though?
there
I
was
I didn't realize Asuka was working barefoot until her like leg covering came off.
mhm,
And I was like, oh, she's barefoot. Like I don't know if I'd want to be barefoot, like walking around in a like armory like that.
yeah. I thought I wrote in my notes like I thought the limb work was actually really good,
Yeah.
and they had a lot of really good strikes. Like this, I think they styled it as like a exhibition match. Um, but it was really well done, and it I they styled it as like a exhibition, just like two like really good workers. Like, but by the end of the match, because I felt it was the story they told with that they were both kind of evenly matched, so neither one got like the clear advantage on the other. So they just could trade back and forth. And when you think that one person had the advantage, the other one would come back, and vice versa. And by the end of the match, I felt it was starting to get like heated, kind of where it's like, who's going to come out top? It's so evenly matched. But I actually really liked this match. I thought it was really well done.
Well, I
I
liked
don't know what I was
how.
anticipating. I thought it'd be a good match, but I was like, I got way more into it than I thought
Well, I
I
do.
would.
I want to say I do love the Royal Butterfly Suplex. I always love that move. More people should steal that.
Mm,
But I liked how. What I liked is, I mean, she kicked out of her finisher, which is whatever. Well, whatever on that. So she. What I like is the end run though. Is so Sara Del Rey finally gets her and she hits her finisher, which is the Royal Butterfly Suplex, which she kicks out of, and then she goes straight to a pile driver right after that, which in Tennessee would be kind of a bigger deal. But she goes, I like that she follows up her finisher and she doesn't like, hesitate. She's like, well, I'm just going to go for a different kill shot on you, and pile drives her and finishes her. Yeah, I actually like
yeah,
this
I was like,
because um
hmm
they really meshed well together. I thought like physically they foiled each other really well. Where Sara Del Rey was obviously bigger and stronger, and Asuka was quicker and like I think more savvy as like a worker. And we're talking in like kayfabe here. And like I like that because not enough people do this. I like that Asuka actually approached the match in a way of, well, she's way bigger and stronger than me, so I need to address this, and I don't want to get kicked, so I'm going to try and hurt her legs. And let's see what Shad said here.
yeah,
Shad said, all the ring work is great. It flows into each other excellently. They have great chemistry. They apply holds with believable transitions and escape in ways that make sense. And they never stop to sell what they've done to each other. No one limps or doesn't use kicks on a leg that's been worked on, and it drove me crazy. So that's
yeah.
his.
He said that. Um, he said that, and
It didn't bother me as much, but
I,
Shad Shad often has a little different perspective from us because he like he's approaching things as someone that's actually done this. So like, because I had asked
mm,
him, like it was a conversation for the Dragon Gate match where I said, and I wish he was on the show because I think it would have been an interesting conversation. But I said, okay, Shad, so at the Dragon Gate match, if you had not done this as a worker, would you have seen like where the seams of the match were as much? And he said no, and because I kind of said because we've had that conversation where we've both kind of said to him before, it's like, yeah, you've really taught us a lot, and there are things now we look at that I never would have thought to look at before. Like, great examples are like footwork and like positioning, which I think he's really showed both of us like the importance of that stuff. And I it didn't bother me as much because I felt like it was more like an MMA match where like yeah they didn't limp and they maybe didn't let something breathe, but it was kind of like, well, I've got to get up or they're gonna. I saw it more as urgency
it
than I did like
Yeah, it didn't bother me as much, but it is also I feel like there was like a durational thing where it's like they would work each other's limbs, but it wouldn't be like I'm working your leg for 5 minutes. This was about a 20-minute match
Yeah.
or so, but it didn't feel like, oh, I like Asuka, Kana, or Sarah, like they worked each other's limbs for like 5 minutes. And then it's like, oh, then you jumped up and no sold. It was like they would work the limb for like 30 seconds to a minute maybe. And then the other person would get out of it. And so it to me, it's like I can excuse if I'm working a limb. And then it wasn't like I worked your arm for 30 seconds and then like something happened, you break it up, and then I go back to that same arm. And so over the course of like 10 minutes, I worked your arm for like 3, 4 minutes because I keep going back to it. It wasn't even like that. It was like they were just trying back and forth to work on each other's limbs for sure, but to also just like see what they could like almost like a kitchen sink. It's like what can I throw at this person to get an
Yeah.
advantage?
Yeah.
So it didn't bother me as much because I didn't feel it's like it was a durational thing
And so it was like,
where
well,
it's like
this
I'm gonna
isn't
try working
really.
on.
It's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I've been trying to do this leg stuff. It's really not getting me anywhere. I think I'm just gonna move along.
Well, they worked on the limbs, and then eventually it just became like they just started doing like strikes
Yeah.
against each other. So it's like, well, the limb work isn't working for either one of us. So let's just start like kicking each other, and slapping each other.
Yeah.
Uh, that didn't bother. The selling part didn't. I see what he's saying, but it did not. It did not bother me as much.
Yeah, it didn't. It did, I saw what he was saying too, and I like I said,
Yeah.
I think my thing was is I was invested in the like the
Mm,
match, so I tend to be if I'm into something, I forgive a lot of the flaws sometimes,
mm, yeah.
and I wasn't feeling nitpicky. I actually I was actually not feeling particularly nitpicky for any of these matches. The only reason I have like the big criticism of the Dragon Gate match is I feel like the ending was like egregiously bad, but I wasn't feeling particularly nitpicky with any of these. Well, no, that's not true. I have a lot
No.
to nitpick the Dragon Gate match. That is not the match. It's the stuff around the match. I was feeling nitpicky on.
Yes. And again, I had a knee jerk reaction about that, but I wound up giving it probably like again I wouldn't really do stars, but I would probably have given it like 4 stars. At the
Uh,
time, maybe I would have given it 5 stars too, but and I think it is a really good match, but my nitpicks were more about all like you said, like all the stuff around it.
Yeah, this I would
Uh
probably this the Sarah Kana match I'd probably give it 3.5, but it'd be like a strong 3.5, and that'd probably be on the lower end, maybe 3 3/4. Like I really liked it. I thought it was a good match. It was a fun time. They really did a lot of good work in it. And it was kind of unique too, and like how I thought they approached it. But I liked it. So our last one is actually, I was really happy I found this because this is kind of a weird, like, historical oddity considering where they ended up. So this is from a Dragon Gate show in 2010. I think the date's on. I think it's like September of 2010. It's one of the first Dragon Gate shows, I believe, if not the first. So this is actually Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Now, I want to get the things out that drove me nuts about this show to begin with because again, because Gabe is an incompetent buffoon. So for one, they have this red ring, and the lighting is absolute garbage. Like there's points where they're
oh
like
my god.
brawling, you can't even see them.
They're
But
brawling in the crowd and it's like let me see if I can do this like visually. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
well,
I'm in the crowd, look, and
yeah,
it's like just darkness, and the
yeah,
little me in there. It's like
yeah.
it is the worst lighting, just about the worst lighting I've ever seen on any show.
Oh, it's terrible.
Even what was the stupid Blackjack Brawl or something the UWF Herb Abrams show?
Yeah,
It's like that was better lit, and that dude was a coke fiend who's probably
yeah.
he had easily it's like I need to have lighting, I need to have the right
Well,
lighting.
and then like
Oh man,
the way so then they had this red ring. It's very red and it gives everything like a red hue to it. So everything's very red. And then Even worse is than the announcers. The sound quality on the announcers is just god awful, just terrible. I wonder if this was an iPay per view. I bet this might have been an iPay per view or an early one.
It would not surprise me if it was. I don't know that it
I don't
was
remember
though.
because their stuff was out.
I'd have to research that.
I just remember like I was kind of interested in this promotion and their DVDs were outrageously priced. Like I think $30 in 2010.
Oh, I know that back in the day, like not every show, but some of those, you know, sailed the seas, if you know
Yeah, but a
what I'm
certain
talking about,
but
and kind of getting those shows available.
Gabe likes to pretend like he's a big boy in a not obese way, we'll say.
Mm.
Um, and so he likes to be a very litigious little cunt about everything. So this stuff was really hard to get pirated. It was hard to get Dragon Gate stuff because, Gabe thinks a little too highly of himself with this stuff. I think he was trying to do that contract shit that he was like really loved to do in Evolve. But like, so this is a historical oddity. Like the quality of the video is just terrible, unfortunately. But I thought this was actually the way they did this. I really liked it because they did the match itself is like really simplistic in execution because it's pretty much they brawl a
Uh,
lot.
I,
Danielson blades, they do mat work, and then Danielson beats him because it's kind of like what the story of the match is Jon Moxley gets the jump on him and beats him up, and he's trying to keep it as a
mm,
brawl, and he slowly gets suckered into working Danielson's style of match, where then Danielson beats him. Is kind of what the story is.
it was that's true. That is kind of the story of the match, but it's weird. It's kind of weird seeing tall, like gangly, like Wink Mox,
Yeah,
which is what he was here. This is before obviously he would sign like a year later. I think it was like a year later to obviously go to the WWE,
this is when
um,
Moxley was like the
becoming Dean
hot.
Ambrose. But
He was like the hot indie act at this point.
and they're for this period of time, like if you really did kind of get to me, I thought you got like shades of almost like a like kind of like Piper, Roddy Piper
Mm-hmm.
in this, where he's just like kind of crazed, like he had like a crazy energy where it's like you didn't know what he's gonna do. He's manic, and he was just like he's heelish in this, and that what that kind of goes towards like the production values. Like he cut a promo at the beginning on Danielson, and I didn't understand jack shit about what he was
Yeah,
saying
I know.
because it was just the sound quality was terrible. Uh, but it was a good match, like, and it did build where Danielson at this point, I don't know if you could call him a veteran. I mean, he'd been around like
He's been
at
around
least
since
10
the night.
years,
Yeah, I
but
would say.
this was probably,
I mean, he would be
excuse me,
if
this
you
was
think
after
about
his
if you think
big,
about if you think about it though, like if you were like us at the time, and we were seasoned fans at this point, but like most of us, including us, started getting into indie wrestling about 2000 2001. So for like some from the context of like someone like us, and this was like kind of the indie boom I think started around ROH. It's kind of when indie wrestling kind of
yeah.
became like a more normalized thing to watch. So for us that have been watching indie wrestling probably since about 2001, uh, Danielson would have been there the whole time and been like a name, and we would know him from like, you know, um, Extreme Warfare Deluxe. We would know him as American Dragon, and he was, there's stuff of him in the late '90s where he still had his mask on, and he was in. You probably saw his name if you were watching like the developmental leagues. He had his match with Regal that we watched in 2001,
Mm.
I believe. So I'd be willing to call him a veteran at this point.
Yeah, this is probably after his big Ring of Honor championship run.
Yeah, that would have been over by this point.
So this probably, Yeah, this probably was kind of like the at least you could say like the established
This
like
might have
indie
been he might have
superstar.
I don't know, he might have been fired by this point too.
I'd have to look that up. Uh, that's actually a good question. Like, let me see
Yeah, I bet he was
if he
fired.
had already been out. But for sure, like for sure, he was at least like the big, indie superstar, and Moxley was kind of like on the rise. So not that this wasn't a passing the torch because like Moxley lost, but
No,
it was kind of like
this is kind of it's actually similar to
the
Kabashi and Hansen, where it's the
yeah,
young pup is nipping at the cagey veteran who then outsmarts them. Essentially, is kind of how I would describe it.
right.
You looking to see if
Uh,
Danielson left in 2010?
I am. Oh, return to WWE 2009, 2010. He re-signed with WWE 2009. He was part of like WWE like early on, but not.
He was in
It wasn't like you
developmental.
saw him.
Yeah, he was in
Yes.
developmental
Uh,
because he came out as Shawn Michaels' Texas Championship Wrestling promotion, I believe.
yeah, he was fired June 11th,
June 11th, 2010.
2010.
Okay, so yeah, so
So
he would
yeah, like this would have been like
a couple
4
months,
months after he.
probably right.
No, sorry, 2 months. 2 months. Like
Yeah, so
yeah.
this would have been his like this would have been like that. So if you don't know, so he went to WWE and he choked an announcer with his tie, which pissed Sci-Fi off, I think. So they had to
Mhm.
fire him. And it was pretty much a hey, go work the indies for like a year or two, and then we'll bring you back. Is kind of I think what the idea was with Vince at the time. So Danielson honestly came back to the indies like an even bigger star in this era. So he does like I think a year run where he just works everywhere and is like it was a big deal at the time.
Okay, so actually, so this is weird. Looking it up, the timeline. He got fired in June 2010, like early June 2010,
Hmm.
and they because of that they had to fire him. He re-signed and was brought back in August 2010. Like he was gone 2 months,
Really?
and yeah, he apparently was at. I forgot this. I mean, but he was brought back. He was back on WWE at SummerSlam August 15, 2010. But because again, this is back under Vince, like he could do this shit. TKO now like won't allow you, but
When Triple
he
H is too much of a snake, he has to
yeah,
fuck people over when he.
yeah, but he was Danielson was out of the WWE for 2 months, only a short amount of time, but he did all he signed up all these gigs, but he basically was like, I'm honoring my commitment. So he did this match. He was already back under WWE contract, but he did matches through like early October
And he did
to finish
Chikara.
up
He
his
did
commitments.
Chikara during this phase too.
Mm,
Because
yeah.
he did that cage match. It was like him and oh, who was in that match? I know Claudio was in that match too.
Mm. Uh, this is a really good match. Uh, it made me think because I said that Moxley's like Piper, and I feel like he was, and I feel like a lot of the Dean Ambrose like manic energy was kind of like Piper-esque, but I've said this. I don't know if I said on the show, but I feel like stronger in this commitment now. But the evolution of Moxley, especially since joining AEW to now, like I really do feel he is the modern day like Terry Funk. And I mean that in the sense that Terry Funk was a guy who, even in his 50s and older, still was relevant, still was a great worker, and still could actually have like really great, interesting, compelling matches because he kept up with the times and he kept changing his character and he saw what was working and listened to the crowd. And I feel like that's Mox, but also Mox has the Terry Funk quality aspects where he's a good worker, but also he's reinventing himself. He's a great promo. Like he's he literally is like the total package. Like some of the stuff, the promos he's giving. now when he's the Continental
I mean, he
Champion.
did good promos in the
And he basically stuck.
he did good promos in the aughts. Like
Yeah.
there's some really great like indie stuff with
Yeah.
him. Like the I'm just a fucked up
But
guy
he's
one, the one where he's
yeah.
behind the building like smoking a cigarette, like talking mad shit because that was the aughts.
Yeah. Well, he did a promo like this before he won the Continental. Is that towards the end of 2025 when he lost like the championship? He's like, what? Like, so like lost the championship, like I'll win it back. Like championship, he was, oh man, it was like such a cold line. It's like championships, people who like like basically measure like your like your worth in championships, or like it's just a small mind or something. He's on a different level. Like he's a guy that he's one of the rare people. It's like you're not just good at this. Like wrestling is like you're not. Wrestling is just like I'm punching a clock. Like you eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling. You actually think about how can I like cut a promo that elevates this? How can I do my in ring better? How can I make my character better? It's
How can I
he's on a
use this
different level.
pointy object as a weapon in the match?
Yeah, he's on a different level. Like I really do feel like when it's all said and done, like people are going to look back at
He's
Moxley, and he's going to be on a separate pedestal from other people who are even his peers that people really respect, because he's that good and really skilled at everything. So seeing him, 15 years early, uh, doing stuff, it's really enlightening. Like you could see here, like this was a good match. Like of the three matches, I probably like this the least, but that's not saying that it's a bad match.
I actually like this
It's
the
a really good
best.
match. I've I I
I actually think
don't know. I feel like
I actually think I like this a little better than their AEW match.
I don't know if I'd say that. I feel like I like this the least of the three matches we saw, but I would, if we're doing star ratings, I would probably give it like 3.75 maybe. I had
I
to
was
rewatch it.
trying
Maybe I
to
give it a 4.
I was trying to look up the word for Moxley. What I would call him as he's an auteur is kind of what he is of wrestling.
He is like an auteur. Like he
Like
really is
he cares about the art
an
form.
ingenue.
Like he cares about
Yes.
the art form. Like he cares about like that's if you watch it, like that's why I left WWE, because he was like, I want to he said it in certain ways, but he pretty much was saying like, I want to experience wrestling. I don't want to do like this corporate like factory line wrestling. Like I want to go to New Japan. Like I want to do this. I want to do comedy. I want to bleed. I want to do these things. Like he cares. Like he's very much like it's about the art for him.
I I've only heard excerpts from his book. Shad apparently has been listening to it, the audiobook, or reading it. But the book that Moxley wrote, there's a lot of stuff in that I, even just the clips I've heard, it's like I doubt. I guess you can't write anything off, but I doubt he's going to go back to WWE, because he seemed he was miserable there, and what he wanted is what he has now, like the freedom to do what he wants. And if he wanted to go Tony Khan and be like, hey, I got this idea, like I want to go to New Japan, or I want to go to CMLL, or I want to like I want to go, like I'll be on AEW every week, but
Well, and
in my spare time, I want to go bum around doing death matches on the indies.
people that also think
And
he's gonna
he'll
go
do
back.
that.
People also that think he's gonna go back also forget that they fucked over Renee on the way out, and he's clearly and
Mm,
said he's held a grudge about how they treated her over getting COVID.
mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah, he seems like he really adores her and their daughter. Like he's a weird dude. Like he's really and I don't mean weird in a bad way, but he's a really intense guy, like a different breed. But I think he's one of those guys that's like who he cares about is who he's fiercely like loyal to. And obviously, like your wife and child, that's who you're going to be fiercely loyal to. Like I don't see him going back, and I don't want him to, because if you care, like I've talked about it in the show before. Like if you think wrestling's an art form, you care about the art of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's deeply cares about it as an art form. Some people are just like, it's a paycheck. I'm just punching a clock. Some people, it's like, it's an art form. I want to elevate my art. Uh, Ricochet is a guy that recently, it's like, literally came out in the last like 2-3 weeks, and he got so much heat, and he didn't care, but he got so much heat because he went on a tirade one
Oh,
night
is that what he called
where he's
Jimmy
like,
Corderas a cuck? Because I laughed and laughed and
yeah,
laughed at
yeah,
that.
yeah. He been on a tirade where he's like, yeah, like I was in the WWE, and like they were killing my like love for professional wrestling.
And he's
Like
not the first person that said that.
and yeah, and Jimmy Corderas like is one who like called him out, and he's like, because Jimmy Corderas is like, look, if I think Ricochet, like, I know people bullshit, but what does Ricochet have to like lie about this? He's like, because Jimmy Corderas is trying to insinuate like, well, you've re-signed with WWE, and he's like, no, I didn't, you dumb asshole. Like, I signed a 5-year contract when I signed, and I wanted to get out of it before then, and they wouldn't let me. They even like gave me a title like it meant anything to me, like to entice me to stay, and I didn't. And talk about another guy who they screwed over his significant other when he left. Like he did that. They did that with her, with Samantha. Um, but he like went on a tirade. It's like, yeah, like they I hated it. By the end, I just going through the motions. Like,
Well,
and they were like killing my love.
Corderas is such a little like cuck is the proper word for him. Like he is such a little fucking bitch because he doesn't even work there anymore. And it's like, no, they're not going to hire you back. You can stop being a little bitch boy for them. And when I say bitch boy, that's spelled BOI,
Hmm.
like that, because that's what he
I think
is.
that I think I've even seen it insinuated where it's like they didn't treat you well, like on your way out. Like, so why are you really like carrying their water?
He's trying to.
It
I think
it
he's
it.
trying because he's trying to get in on that grift of anti AEW, which isn't working and like is kind of out of fashion.
I think I've even seen Joey Janela like rip him like a new asshole, and it's like Janela has been out of AEW like, God, 2-3 years, 4 years, like
Yeah.
at least probably 3 years.
Yeah, but I bet he's all he
And
said though, like I think he's pretty much said like, yeah, I made a shitload of money. It was great.
I don't hate Janela like some people do. Like,
People hate
that's a
Janela.
guy that in a different what?
People hate Janela.
Oh, people like hate Janela. There's some people who hate Janela. Like
I why I
it,
like him is
Janela.
he's what I like about him is like his matches aren't always my style. And I think Spring Break's gotten a little hack, but he always like sticks up for people and like calling out like Gail Kim and he's always he's not afraid to like stand up for like what he thinks is the right thing.
Janela Janela is a guy who was obviously with AEW at the
I
start,
think
and he's a guy
I think
that if
I think
God,
people I think his haters are just jealous that he keeps tripping his way into very tall, beautiful women.
oh my God, like at this point, it's like there must be something to him down there. To be like, you have I've seen what you look like, dude, and you're kind of like weird looking, but you're irrationally attractive women
His
as your
game
significant
must
other.
he must just have like he must
Insane game.
he must have like
Just
he must have like Henry Kissinger like level game.
different level. But
Yeah.
I liked it. I don't think his work is that bad. He's a guy that unfortunately like AEW progressed to,
Past him.
the level
Past
they are where it's like it's the best we're the best wrestle. And so someone like him who is unique but is not gonna be like
he can't he
you're
can't
gonna have
compete.
5-star classics with Kyle Fletcher and
Yeah.
Osprey, yeah.
And he can't compete
But
like when Yeah, you needed like Sunny Kiss, you needed Joey Janela, you needed Private Party when
Yeah,
it started. But that now you have access to Ricochet and Swerve Strickland and Adam Cole and Roderick Strong
yeah,
and Kyle O'Reilly have all become available. Like you can't like it just
yeah.
that's
I I will say like I could see a scenario where like if Ring of Honor got it like its own like streaming show, not like the Honor Club stuff. Like if they actually run like cable, like maybe you hire like a Janela to be like a mid card guy, and you're not going to put like the world title on him, but you could have him come out there and have
yeah.
like goodish matches with people. You know, like he could have like a good match with like Nick Wayne or somebody. Like
I liked his
you know,
unsanctioned match with Moxley on like
can you make?
this
Oh my! Oh, okay,
yeah,
yeah,
the one on the
yeah.
second ever AEW card.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. People hate everyone in wrestling right now. It's really tiring. I
Oh
really,
yeah.
I really don't. I really, as far as like wrestlers go, like I really don't have like a big problem with everyone. Like even like when Gail Kim has kind of been radioactive at times, well, and still is radioactive, and
Mm,
people have a big beef with her. Like even that, I was like, well, like I met her and she was like really really nice to me, and she was just a very sweet lady, and like it's very hard for me to like
mm,
say bad things about her because she was like a very pleasant person
mm.
to meet. So you know what I mean? Sometimes you're just like, yeah, they were nice when I met them, and I don't know, like I don't even
Yeah, I don't
really.
know what's up with her because I feel like she's been like weirdly, she's like trashing this past like few couple days. Like she's been trashing like Meltzer, and Meltzer's like been going back and forth with her, and it's like, what's the point of this?
I don't know. I don't.
Like what does this serve?
Everyone's just been so like insane the last couple years. I just don't know anymore. Because there was someone else that
Yeah.
had like a weird freak out, and I was really like disappointed in them. I don't remember who it was now. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
um, someone we talked about in the show, she kind of had a. I think she has a mental health issue.
Who?
Sara Del Rey. She had her freak out a couple months
Mm.
ago.
Oh, not Sarah Del Rey. You mean
She's Sarah Stock now, but that
Sarah Stock? Sarah
yeah,
Stock.
yeah. Who is Sara Del Rey?
Well, that's not Sarah. That's not Sarah Del Rey. That's who was she?
You sure it's not Sarah Del
That's not
Rey?
Trinity. Who is that?
Sarah Stock's
No,
Sarah
that's
Del
not
Rey.
Sarah Del. No, no, they're different people.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Sarah Del Rey. So she's just gone because WWE let her go during the pandemic, didn't they?
She was with AEW as a coach. Sarita is who she was.
Oh, okay. Because I know
Who I think was good.
she got let go. I thought she got let go by WWE during the pandemic, or she got furloughed. Um, well, I know she got furloughed because like everyone got furloughed because why would you want to pay people when they don't have a chance to work or make money?
Uh, yes, she was. I think. She got released by the WWE in 2010. Which sorry, 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, furloughed. And then so she was with uh AEW from 23 to 25. Uh, yeah, there's like weird stuff going on there where she's made claims about AEW, and it's like, are you going through like a mental break?
It there's a certain I hate to ascribe because the people ascribe that way too much to people. I think online now, because like, well, we could go into a whole tangent about therapy speak, but there was a certain way those tweets and stuff were being said where I'm kind of like, this is not like a well person saying these things.
And I'm not being flippant. Where it's like, oh, you're just crazy. It's like she would I think I saw a claim where it's like, oh, like, Tony Khan and these other people like prevented me from seeing my sick mother, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
how?
yeah.
And the time frames, it was like after she'd been released, and it's like, if you're making a claim that it's like, oh, I was employed by them and my mom was sick and I went to them and I said, hey, my mom is sick, I need some time off, and like, no, you have to work, we're refusing you to, you'll be fired if you don't show up for, it wasn't even that, it's like she got fired, released, and then it's like 2 3 months after that you're like, they're preventing me from seeing my mom. It's like, what, you're not employed there anymore, like why would they, how? And that's when she's like saying this, and it's like, that's that's not normal. Like, again, the scenario I just said, it's like, oh, I didn't show up for work, they won't let me go see my, it's like, you can always be like, screw you, my mom is sick, I'm gonna
Well,
take
and
leave, fire me or not.
anything
So
I've
they're
seen
not
about
really, you can't really be like, oh, they're preventing me.
anything I've seen
It's
about
weird
Tony
things like
Khan
that where she
is
was saying that, it's like, that doesn't seem like you're mentally right.
well, and I've like anything I've ever seen with Tony Khan, he would have been like, "Yeah, you want me to buy you a plane ticket out there right now? Like, go, 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 go."
Yeah, there's a lot of people that that Tony Khan is like, I mean, I guess he's done a match or so, but the Blade from Blade and the Butcher, Pepper Parks, he had neck surgery. Was,
He's got
God, was
he's
he on the shelf like between everything like two
I
years,
think so.
like a long time. Like Tony Khan like paid for the surgery.
I think he just did an indie match, I think maybe last
Like,
month.
well, I saw the Butcher, Andy, uh, has posted a couple times, like recently, a few times recently on Twitter, where it seems like I think he wants to be back, you know, on TV working with the Blade even. So I assume they're maybe still under contract. So it's like Tony Khan, like he'll do that. It's like this guy who may still be under contract, but it's like he will pay someone to be on the, even though they may be on the shelf for like 2 years,
Or
because I
Roosh he
think he
gave
cares about people,
Roosh was like that's one of
or
the
at least,
reasons Roosh resigned was because his
okay.
wife had like a really hard pregnancy and Tony Khan was like checking on him and gave him time off for it and stuff.
Mm,
So I don't know.
yeah.
I think the reason I like the Moxley Danielson match the most is because it's a match that they could have easily like overcomplicated for the sake of complication, which I think indie wrestling at this time was very guilty of. But they
Mm,
kept things very simple because it was like, okay, you know, this part here calls for one kick. We're gonna do exactly one kick. Um,
mm.
we're gonna so they did just enough. I think there's even parts where they could have been like, well, we could do two kicks here, but let's just do one. Like it kind of
You know, that's a very great point, actually. I didn't think about that, but you're right. Like, they, this was a period where you could have seen a lot of excesses, and neither one of them did that. Which, thinking about things from like a 2026 now perspective, it's like at the time you would see that, and I can look back at old shows from like the aughts or the early tens, and it's like, yeah, you would see that. They'd be like, why do one finishing move when I could do 20? And it's
yeah.
like, no, like that, no. And they didn't do that. They didn't actually, like, they didn't load it up with BS. So that's actually a good point that I'm not actually factoring into this.
That's why I liked it because I said it's very simple. Like the execute, like
Hmm.
they do they do what's called for. I'd even say there's points where they leave things on the table because they kind of leave you wanting to see
Mm,
more, which I think is a good match. Like they kind of leave room for like a rematch, and like I said, it's the young pup kind of nipping at the cagey veteran that outsmarts him. Like I like the way they did the mat work, and it's kind of Moxley's kind of desperately trying to not get submitted there. I like the brawling. I like the
mm,
Daniel. I like that Danielson bladed. I thought that really added to the match. I thought his
Yeah.
hope spots were good. Like I really liked it. I thought it was a well executed match. And it was an interesting little historical oddity considering where they ended up to see like Moxley and Danielson in like earlier parts of their career. Like Danielson, not so
Yeah.
much because I think Danielson's Danielson, but seeing like kind of Moxley early.
Yeah, but in I guess in historical context, like this is interesting because we saw this in, at least to date, Moxley is Danielson's final opponent.
Yeah.
We'll see if Danielson actually ever does come back, but
Remember Shad there was
yeah.
something it was funny. I don't know if we talked about on the show last week, but we had a running joke so in the chat. So he had said Chad had said, well, he's never wrestling again because he said so. And I'm like, yeah, he's just one cutting himself with the deli slicer away from doing it. So if you don't know the joke, that's from the wrestler. So like,
The wrestler, yeah.
yeah. So Randy wasn't gonna do the match. He's doing good. He has like a bender, and he kind of falls apart. And then he's like at the deli having a rough day, and he cuts himself with the deli slicer, which makes him go back. So then Shad like read a different interview. He's like, God
Mm.
damn it! He said he might have another match. And I'm like, yep, got himself with a deli slicer.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
It's
It's
in his
really
blood.
it. If that had been a different sport, it would have gotten an Oscar.
I felt that should have got an Oscar.
It should have. It was so good. How do you think that
What won that year? Whatever won that year, I was like, nah, that wasn't as good as.
that came out in 2008?
I have to look this up now.
I think he got a nomination for the part. So how do you? What is your opinion? Did he die in the ring?
Yes.
That's what I
I
think.
take the cynical view.
Yeah, I do too. What's like the non-cynical view that like people say?
I assume the non-cynical is that he survived, but
He's obviously dying. But sorry, this is great live streaming. Trying to figure out. I think it might have been 2009. He lost to Sean Penn for Milk. Oh, who even talks about Milk anymore?
ah, that's one of those. I'm not saying that. Look, I'm not making any sort of commentary on Sean Penn and his performance. But that's one of those, like, you're doing. Want to talk about woke? Like, it's like you're doing a film about a very LGBTQ icon, like your biopic. Like it's like, oh, of course you're gonna win the Oscar. Like that's something that's Oscar bait. Uh, Sean
Slumdog
Penn,
Millionaire
yeah.
won Best Picture. It looks like.
Oh my God, really?
I think so.
Wow, I didn't. Danny Boyle won for Slumdog Millionaire.
I can't. I
Slumdog
can't.
Millionaire was a big deal then.
I can't
Like
hate
I,
on. I can't hate on. I can't hate on that winning over it. I still think it should have won, but like I was expecting Milk to win after I saw Sean Penn won, and I was gonna be annoyed. But I was like, Slumdog Millionaire, like okay, okay. I can't. I can't actually argue. I can't actually argue that. It's not my type of movie, but I'm like,
well,
okay, that was good. It was good.
well, looking at it, Wrestler wasn't even nominated.
No, it wasn't.
It was Slumdog Millionaire, Frost Nixon, Milk, The Reader, or The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Oh fuck
So
that.
actually, I probably would have. Well, yeah, I mean, I probably I like Wrestler more than those, but
Who even remembers what like who even
I guess of those
remembers
films, yeah, I would have supported Slumdog.
who even remembers like Frost Nixon? Has anyone even watched that since the
At the
Academy?
time, I knew it was like no. Like at the time, I knew it was like a big deal.
That's what I hate about the Oscars sometimes. Though is you'll see some movie and it's like I don't even remember what that was. Who was in Benjamin Button? Oh, Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Oh, Brad Pitt. I remember that.
I would have given it to Slumdog Millionaire over those choices. I'm actually surprised that won. I figured that had won for like some other category. Interesting. Well, I stand corrected.
Well, Wikipedia has got
I will tell you. I will tell you what got screwed though is Ed Wood.
what?
Ed Wood got screwed.
Eddie.
We're gonna do that on the show one day. Let's shoot this fucker. That's such a good movie. Shad hasn't seen.
Karloff?
I wanted.
The first so I didn't see that movie like contemporaneously.
I
I
didn't
watched it
either.
when I was like in college, like after the fact, and I saw it. It was I think it was like a. Is it part? Let me look this up because I feel that it was. I'm gonna really date myself. Let me see. Okay, so was it part of the Criterion Collection? I think it was because when I was in college, I'm pretty sure I watched it in the Criterion Collection because it was like Laserdisc. Because I remember in college, like in our I went to college and they had like a big like they had a main section that was really like they had like a food court and a library and like study rooms and all sorts of shit. But they had like an audio visual section, and if I had like I was there for like the day in college, obviously, but I had downtime and I like studied or I did my work, whatever. But I had downtime.
Yes, it's in
There was
the.
periods where
It's in the
I'm like I'm
Criterion.
gonna watch a movie.
It is in the Criterion
Is it part of
collection.
the criteria?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like I'm like I'm gonna start watching some like movies, and I just would look through like the Criterion collection. But for some reason, I'm like I'm gonna check out Laserdisc. So I watch all these movies on
Oh, those things
Laserdisc.
are so
It's like I
big.
don't know why. I
It,
don't know why. I'm like I'm dating myself. But it's like, does that even still exist anymore? Like they put
no.
out new Laserdisc? I doubt it.
You still find them at half
But
price. I've seen a couple. They're so big though, because they're record size.
oh, it's like this big.
I
It
know.
is. It's like a dinner plate size. Like they put this into some movie.
You know what I found?
No.
I was at a Goodwill and they had 8 tracks.
Oh
So
wow.
I know I was like, holy crap! Because my
I remember
my
like
my grandparents
I'm gonna
had.
date myself. My parents had when I was a really little kid. My parents had like a car too that still had like the 8 track.
My
I don't even
gra-
know if we had 8 tracks. I
my
think we had like one or two.
grandparents had this big. It was pretty much. It was a record player, and it was like it was table sized, and then could be a table if it was closed, but there was an 8 track in there. And I always remember the 8 tracks were weird looking as a kid. Because it was kind of still a thing, but like I think cassette was had pretty much dominated by the time I came along, and CD was still like quite a ways away.
Hmm.
But Landau did win for Bela Lugosi, but it was not even nominated for Best Picture because Forrest Gump won a bunch of stuff that year. I don't know if I agree with that pick in hindsight.
Martin Landau winning or
No, Forrest
Forrest
Gump
Gump winning?
getting, yeah, Forrest Gump winning.
Uh that became very like
Meme worthy.
I mean it's still kind of like memorable, yeah.
Then the second book happened where I think he ended up in space.
Oh, I didn't even know they did a second book.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Ed Wood should have won though, because Ed Wood's amazing.
I like to wear women's clothing.
He's such an absurd like character, but I will say like
We do need to watch that.
yeah, because I hate
Mhm.
when people say like Plan 9 from Outer Space is like the worst movie ever. Because it's like, no, it's entertaining. Like, it's not a good
Oh
movie, but
no,
it's
no,
entertaining.
no.
Like I've seen
Like
bad
people say
movies.
that who have not seen bad. No, people not very familiar with film will say it's the worst movie. It's like it is nowhere near the worst movie.
If you think it's the
Like
worst
it's not
movie,
good, but it's also nowhere near.
if you think it's the worst movie, go get on Riff Tracks and just start pulling up random movies. You will find something worse real quick.
Oh my god, I actually I don't know why I did like a deep dive the other day, and I looked up like Manos Hands of Fate
Oh, it's terrible.
because that's obviously a terrible movie. And I looked it up and like the lore behind it, and I'm like, oh man, I got like sad. I'm like, oh no, why did I read this? I feel bad now. Like the guy who played Virgo,
Yeah, I know.
like he like the actor who played Torgo, who like was like goofed. I loved like goofing on him with
I
the
you know it's
Mystery Science
funny.
Theater 3000. Like,
I watched that episode like a month ago, and I did the same deep dive. And he
mm,
did he kill himself? I don't remember.
the actor who played Torgo, because the Man of Hands of Fate is a terrible movie, but it was literally like a guy who wasn't even in the film industry got into like he made like a bet with someone. It's like, I bet you I can make a
It was
film,
a
and
fertilizer
so he literally,
salesman, I believe.
yeah, he was like he was yeah, it's like the dude, the manager at your local, like,
Ace
Walmart.
Hardware.
Yes, like was like, I bet you I can make a film. And so he like scrounged up the money, like made a film with like local like community actors or something. And anyway, he did it. It's a terrible movie, but the guy did it, and it eventually got distributed like locally and didn't do anything. The only reason it's famous is because the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys, like, they got a box of like movies, and it's like,
They just
maybe you
had
can watch
yeah.
one of these for your show. Yeah, and it became famous after that. But it was made, and the actor who played Tori, who's like a local community actor. This is like they filmed in like Texas. It's like a
Yeah.
Texas
Yeah.
film. The
You could
guy,
tell.
I the guy like had, I guess, issues with depression. Fucking killed himself before the movie even came out. And when it was released, it was out at like local Texas theaters, like one or two theaters, for like 2 weeks, and then like done. So by the time you saw MS3K, Man of Hands of
He'd
Fate,
been
the guy
dead
had been
for
long dead.
yeah. And I was so sad
Quite some
about that
time.
because I was like,
And
oh
I felt
dude,
bad.
like
I'm like, oh, I've laughed about this dude forever. And it's like, this dude got killed himself literally before the movie
well,
came
what
out.
I was
Like,
like,
that's how like
where
depressed
I
he
was
was. It's like,
upset, where
wow.
I was really upset and sad for him was like, dude, like if you could have just held on, like you could have raked in so much money, like being the meme. Like, I mean, I know he would have been older, but
Oh
it's
my
like
God. Like,
you could have lived off of Torgo for the rest of your life, and people would have been like
oh my God.
excited to
Like
see you.
that episode of MST3K came out like what, 30 years ago, maybe?
91, I think.
More? I don't know. But oh, probably more. 30 years ago in 96. I feel it was earlier than that. Like, dude, if that guy had survived, we would still probably see his name on conventions.
Yeah,
There are dudes from like fucking like random shit from the 80s, or like still, it's like they're still on like the convention circuit.
I
It's like
was
Torgo could have made some money.
yeah because like at least like for MST3K cons and stuff like, and I'm sure like he could have probably gotten like
Yeah.
a guest spot on a show or something like an episode or something like that if he had had a sense of
Mm,
humor about it. Like the people that did
yeah.
like Time Chasers like get to do like interviews and stuff off of that. I don't know. I had the same
Mm,
deep dive like a month or two ago because I just watched the episode again, which it really is it's an awful movie. But yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh
yeah.
man, because I was like, I wonder if he's still alive and he got like to enjoy like the the attention of like, oh
No.
nope, he died before the movie even came out. Because I think the guy that plays like the cult leader guy is still
Yeah.
alive, and he's had like a sense of humor about MST3K doing it. I don't know. It's a weird movie, and I've seen worse. Rift Tracks has done worse. Because there's something
Oh,
about
I've seen worse.
there's something
And
about
that's a
bad.
terrible movie.
Well,
Yeah.
there is something universal about bad movies where they have someone driving around in a car for like 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Because that's like that is madness. But I think we're gonna call it a show this week. Thank you everyone for joining us as
Mhm.
always. This has been Matt and Brad. I was gonna say Shad because my brain's wired that way. Shad will
Shattered
be
Spirit.
Shad
Yeah.
will be here next week. So thank you for joining us as always, and we will catch you next time.